Dual Cultivation audiobook by Kevin Chapter 651. Zhu Menji's new technique slurp slurp slurp. Wu Jingjing rocked her neck back and forth in a gentle yet intense motion, sucking on Su Yang's meat stick with passion and her eyes filled with hearts. While Wu Jingjing skillfully worked the blade of the sword with her mouth, Zhu Menji used her tongue to massage the area below, gently licking his sack of jewels. The two of you have got much better at using your mouth than before. You must have practiced a lot on each other, Su Yang spoke with a smile on his face. We cultivated with each other nearly every day before we gave birth, Zhu Menji responded. However, we barely do it nowadays as we are too busy with our daughter, and chances like this are rare. A few more minutes later, Su Yang said to Wu Jingjing, who had been working hard to please him, "It's my turn to feed you my milk, get ready." Wu Jingjing nodded before shoving his entire shaft deep down her throat and patiently waited for the eruption. A few seconds later, the volcano erupted, and hot yang qi exploded from Su Yang's mountain, gushing directly into Wu Jingjing's mouth and down her throat. Wu Jingjing's eyes widened with surprise as the volume of yang qi was much more than she'd anticipated. However, she tried her best to not block the passage in her throat and allowed everything to flow into her stomach, feeling as though she was drinking water without any swallowing motions. Sometime later, Wu Jingjing removed her mouth from Su Yang's meat stick and spoke with a sexy smile. "I'm so full it feels like I am pregnant again." Su Yang chuckled at her words and said, "If you want another child, I will gladly assist. I will keep that in mind for the future when I am more experienced as a mother, as I am already overwhelmed by one child," Wu Jingjing said. "It's my turn to taste your milk, Su Yang." Zhu Menji suddenly wrapped her mouth around his shaft and began sucking it with the intent of squeezing everything out. Seeing her aggressiveness, Su Yang was reminded of his time with her inside the cauldron room, where they cultivated with each other for days with barely any breaks in between. After sucking for a few minutes, Zhu Menji suddenly stopped and said to him, "I'm going to try something new, Su Yang. Don't be scared if you've never experienced it before." "Ha ha ha, scared me. And I highly doubt whatever you're about to do will become a new experience for me," Su Yang laughed loudly. "We'll see." Zhu Menji grinned mysteriously for a brief moment before continuing to suck on Su Yang's shaft. "What is she going to do?" Wu Jingjing wondered as she stared at Zhu Menji intensively. A few moments later, Zhu Menji placed her hands right beneath Su Yang's sack of jewels before she suddenly, "What are you doing, Sister Menji?" Wu Jingjing cried out in a shocked voice when Zhu Menji suddenly summoned her azure alchemy flames and wrapped them around Su Yang's sack of jewels as though it was a cauldron. "Calm down, Sister Jingjing. It won't hurt him," Zhu Menji said to her. "What do you think, Su Yang? Have you ever had your balls warmed by alchemy flames, and does it feel good?" she asked him afterward. Su Yang pondered with closed eyes, looking as though he was trying to judge her techniques. "It's quite clever of you to use your alchemy flames in such a manner, but unfortunately for you, it's not my first time experiencing this. With that being said, your control over the temperature and flames is pretty good and it feels good overall. I can tell that you've continued to work hard even after I left. I'm not the first one who has thought of this." Who else would have thought of using their alchemy flames in such a scandalous manner? Zhu Menji asked him in a slightly surprised and disappointed voice. "Many alchemists I have cultivated with in my previous life would start using their alchemy flames to please me after our second or third time together," he said to her. "No way," Zhu Menji mumbled. "As I have said, there is almost nothing I haven't already tried before after living for thousands of years. If you somehow manage to give me a new experience, I'll reward you." "Really? What kind of reward?" "It wouldn't be any fun if you knew," Su Yang said with a smile. Zhu Menji nodded with a serious and resolved expression. She returned to slurping his meat stick with her mouth shortly later and continued to use her alchemy flames to massage his jewels. A few minutes later, Su Yang's volcano erupted again, shooting his white lava into Zhu Menji's mouth. Zhu Menji closed her eyes so she could fully enjoy this moment and savor the thick liquid before swallowing it without hesitation. Ah, I have been longing for this sweetness and stickiness in my mouth ever since I first tasted it, Zhu Menji thought to herself, feeling incredibly satisfied. Once Su Yang removed his meat stick from her mouth, Zhu Menji opened her mouth and showed him the small white lake in her mouth for a brief moment before swallowing everything in one motion. Ah, so tasty. Zhu Menji sighed in a blissful voice and with an enchanting expression on her beautiful face. When Su Yang saw her amazing expression, his sword trembled before stiffening even more. He then grabbed Zhu Menji by her shoulders and gently laid her on the bed. Seeing the eagerness in Su Yang's eyes, Zhu Menji chuckled to herself before spreading her legs wide open for him, revealing to him her wet slit. Su Yang rubbed his steel-like rod against her pink slit for a good moment before inserting it into the wet hole. Ah tilde, Zhu Menji M.O.A. Ned loudly as her inner walls were spread wide open by the monster serpent that invaded her cave, feeling as though she'd entered Heaven Chapter 652, Flaming Dragon Allah, Allah, tilde. Feeling Su Yang's meat stick in her hole again, all of the stress that had been built up for the past year was instantly satisfied, and Zhu Menji felt complete again. You are as tight as ever, if not even tighter than before. Are you sure you gave birth not long ago? Su Yang spoke with a smile on his face as his shaft was being tightly squeezed by Zhu Menji's hole. That's because it's been starving for over a year, Su Yang. Do you like it? Yes, I love it. Su Yang suddenly began moving his hips even faster, and Zhu Menji M.O.A. Ned louder in response, feeling her lower body burning with passion. After pounding her from the font for a few minutes, Su Yang flipped Zhu Menji around and continued in the dogggy position. Let me see what the two of you usually do, Su Yang suddenly said to them. Wu Jingjing immediately understood the meaning behind his words and laid in front of Zhu Menji with her legs spread wide open. Go ahead, Sister Menji. Zhu Menji nodded her head and approached Wu Jingjing's pink slit with her tongue sticking out. Tilde, Wu Jingjing M.O.A. Ned softly when Zhu Menji's tongue began tickling her pink pearl. That's it, Sister Menji. Lick it harder. Wu Jingjing closed her eyes to focus on the delightful feeling between her legs, and she even began massaging her own breasts. Meanwhile, Su Yang enjoyed the view from behind Zhu Menji with his hands tightly gripping onto her soft buttocks. Many minutes later, Su Yang said to Zhu Menji, I am going to brand you with family seal now. It'll feel a little bit hotter than usual. Please, make me your woman officially, Su Yang. Zhu Menji prepared herself. A few seconds later, Su Yang released his load into Zhu Menji's body, overflowing her hole with his yang qi. So hot tilde. Zhu Menji M.O.A. Ned loudly, feeling as though her entire body was burning in a fire, especially the area below her stomach. However, despite the intense heat, it was not painful at all, even feeling somewhat pleasant. Su Yang removed his shaft from Zhu Menji's hole once the family seal appeared on her body. This is the family seal. I have never seen anything like this before. Wu Jingjing caressed the family seal on Zhu Menji's body with a dazed gaze, looking mesmerized. I still need to activate it with my blood, but I'll do it once you both have the family seal on you, Su Yang said to them. Are you ready? He looked at Wu Jingjing. Yes, she nodded with a serious and eager expression on her face, and without further ado, Su Yang inserted his shaft into her hole. Tilde. Wu Jingjing M.O.A. Ned sharply when she felt his stiff rod reach the deepest parts of her cave. It was a nostalgic feeling that caused her body to tremble with excitement, almost as though it instinctively knew the feeling of Su Yang's sword. More do me harder, Su Yang, Wu Jingjing pleaded with a sexy expression on her face. In response to her pleading, Su Yang firmly grabbed her slim waist and began thrusting his hips intensively, almost violently. Tilde. As she was not prepared for such a passionate response, Wu Jingjing nearly collapsed from the intense pleasure, and her little sister gushed with yin qi every time Su Yang plunged his rod into her. He, let me help you out, Sister Jingjing. Seeing the opportunity to tease Wu Jingjing even further, Zhu Menji crawled to her body before she began sucking on her breasts. Tilde. 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 Wu Jingjing Ned crazily as Su Yang pounded her wet hole fiercely without stopping for many minutes, acting like a beast that hadn't have sex in a long time. Once Wu Jingjing was at her limit, Su Yang released his yang qi into her body, filling every nook and cranny in her cave with his white liquid. My body is burning. It feels so good, Wu Jingjing exclaimed, feeling the family seal slowly appearing on her body. Few moments later, she could see the family seal clearly imprinted onto her body. What a beautiful sight, Wu Jingjing mumbled as she looked at family seal. Yes, a beautiful sight indeed. Su Yang nodded his head as he looked at the two naked beauties before him, both with his yang qi leaking from their cave. Anyway, let me activate the seal. Su Yang bit his thumb until it began bleeding. He then dripped a drop of his blood into their family seal, causing it to glow a golden light. Now you're officially my woman, Su Yang said as he licked the wound on his finger, instantly sealing it. I love you, Su Yang. Zhu Menji suddenly pounced at him and kissed him on the lips passionately. Thank you for accepting us, Su Yang. I love you. Wu Jingjing kissed him next. Sometime later, Su Yang asked them, do you want to continue? Of course. We're going to do this until our children wake up, Zhu Menji said. Su Yang nodded and he said to her, then allow me to show you a new technique. Oh, what are you going to do? Zhu Menji stared at him with anticipating eyes. Su Yang then stood up and snapped his fingers. A second later, whoosh, alchemy flame suddenly appeared and wrapped around his shaft, resembling a flaming sword. Zhu Menji's jaw dropped to the floor after seeing this, her eyes as wide as saucers. Why you're going to stick that inside me? She asked him in a shaky voice. Do you not want me to? Then I'll give it to Wu Jingjing instead. Wait a second, who said anything about not wanting it? I want it, please give it to me. Zhu Menji quickly said to him in a pleading voice. Su Yang chuckled at her cute response and said, lay down, I'll give you a taste of this flaming dragon. Author's note, I will be releasing Discord for the public once again at the beginning of February. There will be a glossary, character illustrations, and much more inside. Check the comment for Zia O. Wrong's character illustration. Chapter 653, Dragon's Breath. Gulp. Zhu Menji swallowed nervously at the sight of the mighty flaming dragon between Su Yang's legs, looking like a dragon engulfed in fierce flames. She simply cannot imagine what would happen to her body if Su Yang were to stick that inside her body. However, her curiosity and excitement for the unknown far surpassed her anxiousness and fear, creating a weird and indescribable feeling in her heart. I am going to stick it in you now, Su Yang warned her. Go ahead. Zhu Menji nodded and stared at the flaming dragon that was slowly flying towards her cave with wide eyes, not daring to miss its entrance. And right as the head of the flaming dragon reached the entrance to Zhu Menji's cave, Su Yang suddenly rammed his entire shaft into Zhu Menji's hole, taking her by surprise. Tilde. Zhu Menji felt an indescribable mixed feeling of pleasure and pain that jolted her entire body with intense pleasure, causing her to moan at the top of her lungs. After penetrating Zhu Menji with his flaming dragon, Su Yang did not continue to move and instead silently stared Zhu Menji's face that looked extremely vulgar at this moment. What do you think? He asked her with a confident smile on his face. It's I. Zhu Menji was speechless. as she couldn't find any word to describe the pleasure she was feeling right now, or her mind was simply filled with so much pleasure that she couldn't think properly. However, while Zhu Minji could not respond with words, her body had the perfect response for Su Yang's inquiry by gushing with yin qi without stopping, almost like a broken dam. Wow, there's so much coming out. Even Wu Jingjing was amazed by the amount being released by Zhu Minji. Of course, despite being drenched and soaking wet from her yin qi, Su Yang's meat stick remained burning with alchemy flames, even seemingly slightly fiercer than before, which only increased the pleasure felt by Zhu Minji. A few moments later, once Zhu Minji's body stopped climaxing, Su Yang grabbed her waist and lifted her body slightly off the bed, and he began pounding her wet cave with his flaming dragon. Tilda. Zhu Minji's little sister immediately began flowing with yin qi again, and Su Yang could feel her inner walls becoming tighter and tighter with every thrust. Tilda. Aha. Tilda. Zhu Minji could feel a distinct burning sensation inside her body that greatly enhanced the feeling of pleasure she was receiving. It was so intense that it felt like she was a pill that was being cooked inside a cauldron. However, no matter how hot her body burned, she did not feel the slightest pain the entire time, only feeling pleasure and satisfaction from it. "Get ready. I am going to release it now," Su Yang suddenly said to her after many minutes of cultivation. The next moment, Su Yang released his yang qi into her body. However, there was something different about his yang qi this time. It's burning. The yang qi is also burning with alchemy flames," Wu Jingjing exclaimed in a shocked voice after witnessing this scene. "That is a technique called dragon's breath," Su Yang said with a proud-looking expression on his face. "Only those who have complete mastery over their alchemy flames would dare to infuse their yang qi with alchemy flames." "Are there any benefits in doing that?" Wu Jingjing asked him. "No, not really. It's really only meant to impress your partners. Of course, it also feels better than doing it normally," Su Yang said. "Do you want to try it?" he then asked her. "Why, yes." Wu Jingjing nodded, mostly because she didn't want to lose to Zhu Minji. A few moments later, Wu Jingjing laid on the bed and Su Yang rubbed his shaft on her slit. "This feels amazing." Wu Jingjing spoke in awe, and she was at a loss for words. "If you think this feels good, just wait until I stick it inside," Su Yang chuckled. After rubbing on her pink jewel for some time, Su Yang suddenly inserted his flaming dragon into her cave, causing Wu Jingjing's body to jolt from shock. This is. Once his entire meat stick was inside her hole, Su Yang began thrusting his hips, smacking her meat with his burning rod. Tilda. Wu Jingjing's entire body was quickly drenched in sweat from the burning sensation all over her body, feeling as though she'd been tossed into an oven, yet she did not want the feeling of pleasure to stop. "More. Make me feel hotter. I want to melt in your embrace, Su Yang," Wu Jingjing pleaded. "And let's see if you can endure this." Su Yang suddenly released his flaming yang qi into her cave, but he did not stop moving his hips and continued to pound her cave that was engulfed in alchemy flames. The feeling of pleasure was so intense that Wu Jingjing fell unconscious after experiencing it for only 10 seconds. Seeing this, Su Yang unplugged his rod from her hole, and his flaming yang qi immediately flowed like a river from her cave. "Let me clean that for you, Su Yang." Zhu Minji crawled in front of his still flaming rod and began licking it without any hesitation. "You can swallow the flaming yang qi if you want. It's completely safe," Su Yang said to her as she cleaned his rod. Zhu Minji nodded, and she swallowed the burning yang qi, feeling a burning sensation flow down her throat, almost as though she was drinking strong alcohol. "I'm so relieved and happy that you decided to return to us, Su Yang. I don't know how long I would have lasted without you." Zhu Minji sighed afterward. "And I won't leave you again, I promise," Su Yang said while gently caressing her smooth face. We will follow you no matter where you go. Zhu Minji nodded with blissful tears falling down her face. Chapter 654. Is that even possible? How long have I been asleep? Wu Jingjing asked them after waking up sometime later. Not long. Only around 15 minutes, Zhu Minji said to her. I see. Wu Jingjing nodded before continuing. I am going to wash my body before the children wake up. I will come with you, Zhu Minji said. She then turned to look at Su Yang and asked him, Do you also want to come? How could I say no to that? Su Yang followed them with a smile on his face. Once they were in the bathroom, Zhu Minji and Wu Jingjing worked together to wash Su Yang's body, scrubbing every nook and cranny of his body. Zhu Minji even used her breasts to scrub his back, and when Wu Jingjing saw this, she started using her own breasts to wash Su Yang in the front. A few minutes later, both Zhu Minji and Wu Jingjing used their hands to clean his little brother. And right as they finished cleaning Su Yang, the babies outside suddenly started crying. You two can stay here and continue cleaning yourselves. I will take care of the children, Su Yang said to them before quickly rinsing the soap off his body with water and leaving the bathroom. Thank you, Su Yang, they said to him. Once Su Yang left the scene, Wu Jingjing and Zhu Minji took turns cleaning each other's bodies. I would dream of Su Yang returning to us almost every day after he left. I did not expect him to truly return to us, much less accepting us as his women. Wu Jingjing spoke with a warm smile on her face, her eyes filled with emotion. I know exactly how you feel, Sister Jingjing. I thought I would be fine raising a child by myself, but alas, after giving birth to Jai, I quickly realized how wrong I was and how difficult it was to raise a child without a father. I'm really relieved Su Yang returned to us, even willing to take us with him. Zhu Minji said as Wu Jingjing washed her body. How many women do you think are in the family? Wu Jingjing suddenly asked her. I cannot even imagine. Not only is Su Yang incredibly handsome, but he's also incredibly talented, especially his alchemy skills. If he wanted partners, I'm confident that most of the women in the Four Seasons Academy wouldn't mind becoming his wife. Zhu Minji spoke with a smile on her face. Alchemy. You should see his sword skills. If the female disciples at the Holy Sword Sect were to witness what I had experienced, they would literally wet themselves from shock and awe. Wu Jingjing said, recalling what she'd experienced inside Nine Spring Hall where she first met Su Yang. Honestly, I don't care how many women there are within the family as long as I am a part of it, Zhu Minji said a moment later. What a coincidence, Sister Minji. I also happen to have similar thoughts, Wu Jingjing smiled. Sometime later, Wu Jingjing and Zhu Minji left the bathroom with a refreshed and clean feeling all over their body and returned to Su Yang's side. Inside the baby's room, Su Yang casually stood there with both Wu Min and Zhu Jai calmly in his embrace. You are really good at this, Su Yang. How many children do you have back in your own world? Zhu Minji asked him after seeing his calm demeanor when handling the babies. How many? 0, at least none that I know of, he responded with a calm expression on his face. Huh, you don't have any children in your previous life. Is that even possible? Wu Jingjing looked at him with wide eyes. I refused to have children because I had a lot of enemies in my previous life, and I feared that their lives might be affected negatively because of me. However, it's also possible that I might have accidentally impregned some of my partners without being aware of it, as I was not born with perfect control over my yang qi, Su Yang explained to them. Does this mean we are the first ones to bear your children, at least willingly? Zhu Minji asked him in a trembling voice. That's right, he nodded. You two are the first women I have willingly impregned. Wu Jingjing and Zhu Minji turned to look at each other with overwhelming emotions in their eyes, causing them to tear up. After wiping the tears from their eyes, Wu Jingjing and Zhu Minji suddenly kneeled on the floor and kowtowed to Su Yang. "Thank you, Su Yang, for giving us the honor of bearing your first children," they said to him while trying their best to resist bawling their eyes out. "You're overreacting, you two. Hurry up and stand up," Su Yang said to them with a smile. However, they remained kowtowing on the floor, unwilling to move. It was at this moment the babies in Su Yang's embrace began crying out loud. "Look, you made the babies cry. If you don't stand up, your dignity as mothers will disappear," Su Yang said to them. Hearing their daughters cry, they had no choice but to stop kowtowing and stand up. "They are probably hungry after waking up," Wu Jingjing said after wiping the tears from her eyes. Su Yang quickly handed the babies back to their mother so they could be fed. Zhu Menji and Wu Jingjing proceeded to loosen their robes until one of their breasts popped out, and they began feeding their daughter shortly later. Once the room was quiet again and the babies were calmly drinking their breast milk, Wu Jingjing suddenly said, "Su Yang, do you think you can come to the Holy Sword Academy and meet my father later? He was extremely shocked when he heard your name, but he wouldn't explain it to me no matter how much I asked, saying that it would be for the best if I didn't know about it." "The Holy Sword Academy, huh? I'll go when I have the time," he nodded. Chapter 655. Heading to the Holy Sword Academy, Your Majesty, Sect Master Zhu has sent us a message. A guard kneeled before the handsome middle-aged man with a scroll resting on his palms. "Sect Master Zhu, let me see." Emperor Lion accepted the scroll and began reading the message. "The Zai family, Su Yang from the Eastern continent. Interesting." Emperor Lion rubbed his chin with a profound gaze. "If I recall correctly, Su Yang is the name of Immortal Fairy Su Yue's husband. If this Su Yang is the same individual, I would very much like to meet him." Emperor Lion nodded his head. "Let Sect Master Zhu know that I am willing to meet with these guests and that it will happen in 2 days. As Your Majesty commands." The guard nodded before leaving the room. These guests from the Eastern continent, they must have crossed the Jade Sea with Immortal Fairy Su Yue's assistance. Since that's the case, I cannot ignore them. Emperor Lion recalled the flying ship that approached their holy central continent not long ago. Meanwhile, after receiving Emperor Lion's response from a communication talisman, Sect Master Zhu immediately went to share the news with Su Yang. "Great news, Su Yang. I have received a response from Emperor Lion just now, and he agreed to meet with you in 2 days," Sect Master Zhu said to him after going to their house. "2 days, huh?" Su Yang nodded. "Oh, one more thing. I didn't mention the 4 elements route to Emperor Lion because he might not have agreed with the meeting if he knew you were only there for the treasure, so you'll have to tell him yourself." "That's fine. Thank you," Su Yang said. "Then I'll go speak with the Zai family now," Sect Master Zhu said. "Wait for a second, Mother. Before you go, I want you to know that I have something very important to tell you later," Zhu Menji said to her. "Something very important." Sect Master Zhu raised her eyebrows in a suspicious manner before nodding. "I understand. You can come to my room whenever you are ready." Sect Master Zhu left shortly later to let the Zai family know about the meeting in 2 days. Meanwhile, Zhu Menji said to Su Yang, "Su Yang, I am going to tell my mother that I will be leaving with you in the future." "Do you want me to come with you?" he asked. "No, I can handle this by myself. You should take this time and visit the Holy Sword Academy with Jingjing before meeting with Emperor Lion," Zhu Menji said to him. Su Yang nodded and said, "Wu Jingjing, before we head to the Holy Sword Academy, I should let the Zai family know so they are aware of my absence." "Okay, we'll be waiting here for you," Wu Jingjing said. Sometime later, Su Yang went to the Zai family's living quarters. "Su Yang, do you need anything? Senior Zhu just left this place after telling us about the meeting in 2 days if that's what you're going to tell us," Zai Wang said after opening the door. "I know, she told me before coming here. I am here to let you know that I will be away from this place briefly to visit the Holy Sword Academy, one of the 3 ancient academies." "Will you return in time for the meeting?" Zai Wang asked him. Of course, said Su Yang. Okay, I will let the other two know. Su Yang returned to Wu Jingjing's side shortly later. Are we ready to leave? Su Yang asked her after returning. Yes, we can leave whenever. Then hop on. Su Yang retrieved the small flying boat before boarding it, and Wu Jingjing followed him with Wu Min in her arms. Where is the Holy Sword Academy? Su Yang asked her once they were in the air. 200,000 miles north, she said. 200,000 miles. How did the two of you return to the Four Seasons Academy so fast? Su Yang raised his eyebrows. Oh, we couldn't wait to meet you again after receiving Senior Zhu's message. So Zhu Menji used a life-saving treasure to teleport us back here, Wu Jingjing explained with a bashful expression. You wasted a life-saving treasure just to come back faster. I don't even know whether I should laugh or cry at this. Su Yang said while shaking his head. Anyways, sit tight, this flying boat is quite fast and will reach the Holy Sword Academy in about 15 minutes. That fast? Wu Jingjing's eyes widened. I can hold on to the baby if you're not confident, Su Yang said with a smile. Please do. Wu Jingjing quickly handed Wu Min to him before they began moving. Once Su Yang and Wu Jingjing left the sect, Zhu Menji made her way to her mother's room. You're here already. What did you want to speak to me about? Sect Master Zhu said after seeing her face. I just want to let you know that Su Yang has decided to take responsibility for our children and accepted me and Wu Jingjing into his family. She wasted no time telling her mother the truth. What? Is that true? Sect Master Zhu immediately stood up from shock, and on her face was an ecstatic expression. Yes, I have even accepted his family seal. Zhu Menji lifted her robes to show her mother the family seal below her belly button. What is that? Sect Master Zhu asked her, as this is also her first time seeing such a thing. This is proof that Su Yang has accepted me into his family, the Su family, Zhu Menji said. And because I have decided to join his family with Wu Jingjing, I will be leaving the sect to go with him in the future. Wait a second, you're going to leave the sect? This is too sudden. I know, but this is something that I have already decided, as I don't want to separate from him again, and our daughter needs a father, she said to her chapter 656 Holy Sword Academy. After a moment of silence, Sect Master Zhu spoke in a low voice. When are you going to leave this place? I will leave with Su Yang when he returns to the eastern continent, Zhu Menji responded. Aya. Sect Master Zhu suddenly released a loud sigh while rubbing her temples in a stressed manner. I just became a grandmother, and you're already going to take Zhu Jie away from me before she can even understand who I am. Are you sure you aren't doing this just to screw with me because of how I treated you in the past? This should be criminal. I know this isn't fair to you, mother, but I am definitely not doing this on purpose. I thought I would be fine without Su Yang, but I quickly realized my naivety after he left. Now that he has returned and even offered me to follow him, I simply cannot say no, and even Zhu Jie seems to really like him. I don't want her to grow up without a father. Sect Master Zhu silently stared at the beautiful little girl sleeping in Zhu Menji's arms, feeling a perplexing emotion in her heart. As much as she wanted Zhu Menji and Zhu Jie to stay in the sect, she couldn't possibly deny Zhu Menji of a partner and Zhu Jie of a father, no matter how selfish she was. As long as you promise me that you will visit me with Zhu Jie once in a while, I will stop complaining, Sect Master Zhu spoke after a long moment of silence. However, Zhu Menji did not respond to her and merely remained silent. Seeing this, Sect Master Zhu frowned. What? Are you telling me that you are not willing to visit me after you leave, and you dare say that you aren't trying to screw with me? Sect Master Zhu wanted to slam the desk in anger, but she didn't dare to scare the sleeping Zhu Jie. It's not that I don't want to visit you, mother. It's a complicated situation, Zhu Menji sighed. If she follows Su Yang back to his own world, It might be incredibly difficult, if not outright impossible, to return to this world, hence why she cannot make that promise with her mother. Complicated. What's so complicated about this? If Su Yang can travel the Jade Sea and come here from the eastern continent, why can't you visit me? She asked. You don't understand at all, mother. When I leave with Su Yang, I am not just traveling to another continent. Zhu Minji shook her head. As much as she wanted to tell her mother about Su Yang's real identity, she didn't dare to reveal his immortal background without his permission, even if it was her own mother asking. If you can't promise me that you'll visit me, let me speak with Su Yang. I'm sure that he'll let me see my granddaughter, her mother then said. Su Yang just left the sect with Wu Jingjing to travel to the Holy Sword Academy, Zhu Minji said to her. Wu Jingjing wants Su Yang to meet with her father, Senior Wu. Then we'll continue this conversation once he returns. You should leave before I wake up the baby, Sect Master Zhu said, clearly upset about Zhu Minji's decision to leave the sect without telling her everything. Zhu Minji sighed. I understand. I will return with Su Yang later. Meanwhile, 200,000 miles away from the Four Seasons Academy, Su Yang and Wu Jingjing have just arrived at the Holy Sword Sect. This is... Su Yang stared at the statue of a handsome young man standing in a heroic pose with a thick sword on his back that was placed right in front of the sect entrance. That is my father during his prime, Wu Jiang, who is also known as the Sword Saint. Wu Jingjing explained to him. Sword Saint, huh? Su Yang shook his head inwardly. If the Sword Saints in the divine heaven were to learn that someone at the sovereign spirit realm dared to claim the title of Sword Saint, the Holy Sword Academy would disappear within 24 hours. Come on, let's go meet my father. She grabbed Su Yang's hand and pulled him towards the sect entrance while he carried Wu Min with his other arm. Senior apprentice sister. The disciples guarding the entrance immediately bowed to her. They then turned to look at Su Yang with a dazed face, as they were unfamiliar with his face. However, what shocked them the most was the fact that he was carrying Wu Min. Just who is this handsome young man? If Wu Jingjing trusted him enough to let him carry Wu Min, then he must be someone fairly important to her. Hell, he was even holding onto Wu Jingjing's hands. Senior apprentice sister, this young man is. One of the disciples decided to ask her. He's here as my guest, she quickly responded. What I mean is, before that disciple could even finish his sentence, Wu Jingjing narrowed her eyes at him and spoke with a frown on her face. When did it become your job to question my relationship? IPST. There must have been a misunderstanding. I wouldn't dare to. The disciple quickly apologized. Seeing this, Wu Jingjing spoke in a cold voice. I know what you're doing. Tell that person to stay away from us or he'll regret it. That disciple's entire body immediately stiffened after hearing her words. However, before he could even respond, Wu Jingjing pulled Su Yang into the sect and walked away without looking back. Once they were gone, the disciples there mumbled to each other, if I had to guess, that young man is definitely her lover. Yeah, and he's most likely also the one who impregnatd senior apprentice sister Wu. Haya, that person isn't going to be happy about this. Whether he'll be happy or not is none of our concerns. Our job is to report our findings to him, and this is something we must report even at the cost of our lives. Then who wants to be the one to report to him about the situation? The place immediately turned silent. Chapter 657, burning with anger and jealousy. What was that about? Su Yang asked Wu Jingjing sometime later. Haya, where should I begin? Wu Jingjing sighed. Is this about that disciple who was with you at that time? Su Yang asked. Disciple Zhang? No, he stopped bothering me ever since what happened at the 9 Spring Hall. This person is much more difficult to deal with, mostly because of his status. Ho! Who is this person that even one of the ancient academies cannot deal with? Su Yang asked with his interest piqued. In the entire Holy Central Continent, there is only one power that surpasses the Holy Sword Academy and the 3 ancient academies. Let me guess, the lion family, Su Yang interrupted. Wu Jingjing nodded her head and continued. He's the son of Emperor Lion Heng, and he's also a disciple in the Holy Sword Academy, my father's disciple. I understand what you mean by difficult to deal with now, Su Yang said with a calm expression on his face. Although Lion Heng is not the aggressive type, he's incredibly persistent. He has a thing for me ever since he became a disciple here at the Holy Sword Academy, and he has been chasing after me since then. Wu Jingjing sighed, and she continued a moment later. Hell, he's still trying to court me now despite knowing that I already have a child with someone else. Though, he did stop bothering me for a year when he first found out that I was pregnant. However, he started returning shortly after Wu Min was born. I think he somehow knows that I am a single parent, hence why he's still trying. This person is indeed quite persistent. You can't help but admire people like him, Su Yang said. There are not many men out there who would be willing to accept a woman who already has a baby with another man into their life. Of course, his behavior could also be explained as a fetish. Fetish. There are people with such fetishes. Wu Jingjing looked at him with a terrified expression. Oh, you have no idea how many fetishes exist out there, Su Yang said with a weird smile on his face. Anyway, what does this Lion Heng guy have to do with those disciples? He asked her. Well, as the son of the lion family, it is only natural that he has near limitless resources at hand. And because of his obsession with me, he has spies everywhere watching over me. Hence why those disciples were asking personal questions, as they have to report to Lion Heng. It wasn't too bad at first, but after I gave birth to Wu Min, he has essentially become a stalker who wants to know everything that happens in my life, probably because he wants to know the identity of Wu Min's father, Wu Jingjing sighed. Your father can't stop it. He hasn't tried, but that's because we both know it will only be a waste of effort. Wu Jingjing shook her head with a bitter smile. But I don't have to worry about him anymore since I have you here with me now, she said to him with a bright smile on her face. Of course, as long as I am here, I won't let anyone harm you or our daughter no matter who they are, even if that person is the son of the emperor or even the emperor himself, Su Yang said, and he continued. And since he will learn of my identity sooner or later, we might as well reveal our relationship ourselves. Okay. Wu Jingjing nodded her head. She then embraced his entire arm until it was practically pressing against her breasts. Now anyone who sees them will immediately know their intimate relationship with each other. LLL, look over there. Heavens, is that senior apprentice Sister Wu? When the disciples noticed Wu Jingjing and Su Yang and saw the intimate atmosphere between them that was akin to a husband and wife going on a stroll with their child, the disciples stopped whatever they were doing to stare at them with gawking expressions on their faces. See, could that young man be senior apprentice Sister Wu's partner? Wu Min's father. That must be him. I cannot imagine why else would senior apprentice sister act so intimately with him. This is massive news. We need to report this to His Highness if someone hasn't already. Wu Jingjing and Su Yang ignored the chaotic surroundings and the countless gazes that were staring at them and continued to walk down the sect with calm expressions on their faces, acting as though they were in their own little world. Meanwhile, somewhere in the Holy Sword Academy, a handsome young man wore a cold expression on his face as another disciple kneeled before him. What you said just now. I want to hear it again, said the handsome young man. Yes, Your Highness, the disciple spoke before repeating his words. Senior apprentice Sister Wu's partner has finally shown himself, and he's currently strolling through the sect with Senior apprentice Sister Wu embracing his arms while holding her daughter in the other hand. If he's not the person His Highness has been looking for, this subject will cut his own throat. Take me to him. Lion Heng spoke in a demanding voice. Yes, Your Highness. So you have finally shown yourself. I don't care who you are, I will make you regret stealing Wu Jingjing from me. Lion Heng could feel his heart burning with anger and jealousy, just thinking about the years of effort he'd put into courting Wu Jingjing only to have another man steal her from him, even defiling her body by impregnating her. A few seconds later, Lion Heng left his living quarters to follow the disciple. Meanwhile, a few buildings away from Lion Heng's living quarters, a woman with peerless facial features watched from her window as Lion Heng left his house with a murderous expression on his face. "What is that idiot up to now?" she mumbled in a curious voice. Chapter 658. This fuck is really handsome. Fuck. I have never been this fucking angry before. I wasn't this angry even when I found out that Wu Jingjing had been impregnated by another man. It's only when this mother-fucker finally shows himself that my suppressed emotions are exploding. Lion Heng cursed inwardly. Where has he been for the past year? Why did he have to show up now when I finally decided to toss my pride as the crown prince aside and started courting Wu Jingjing again despite her status as a sullied woman? When a woman is no longer pure and loses her status as a maiden, especially if that woman is not married, they are often referred to as a sullied woman or other similar terms. After following the disciple for many minutes, the disciple suddenly shouted, "Over there, Your Highness! That's Wu Jingjing and her partner. Let me see this bastard's face." Lion Heng pushed the disciple to the side and stared at Wu Jingjing and the handsome young man standing beside her in the distance. Fuck. This fucker is really handsome. Lion Heng's eyes widened with surprise, as he didn't expect Wu Jingjing's partner to be such a handsome individual, and that somehow lessened his anger, because if Wu Jingjing had picked someone that was uglier than him, it would have definitely worsened his rage. After waking up from his daze a moment later, Lion Heng shouted loudly before approaching them, "Stop right there." Ahem. Su Yang lifted his eyebrows when he noticed Lion Heng walking towards their direction in an aggressive manner and a face twisted in anger. "That's Lion Heng, Emperor Lion's son," Wu Jingjing said to him in a low voice. Once they were only a few meters apart, Lion Heng stopped walking and stared at Su Yang directly in his eyes. "Wu Jingjing greets His Highness." Wu Jingjing bowed to him in a courteous manner. Lion Heng would normally respond to her greetings, but he was too emotional right now to even glance at her. "Who the hell are you?" Lion Heng spoke to Su Yang in a cold and demanding voice. Su Yang looked at Lion Heng with a calm expression on his face before speaking in a nonchalant voice. "It is common courtesy to introduce yourself before you ask for another's identity." "Such insolence! Who do you think you are standing before?" Lion Heng roared. "I don't care who you are, but can you lower your voice? If you scare my daughter and make her cry, I might not be able to control my emotions." Su Yang spoke with a frown on his face. Gasp! The disciple watching this scene in the background immediately gasped after hearing Su Yang's words. He confirmed it himself. He's really Wu Min's father. Even though the disciples didn't need Su Yang to say that he was the father, it was still shocking to hear his confirmation. Lion Heng's body trembled violently, and his cultivation at the peak of the heavenly spirit realm erupted a second later, causing the atmosphere there to change. "Crazy bastard!" Lion Feng roared. "Wazza, wazza, wazza!" Wu Min began crying loudly after being startled by Lion Heng's loud voice. "You little bastard!" Su Yang growled under his breath, and his eyes began turning red. "Calm her down for me while I take care of this insolent bastard who doesn't know the immensity between heaven and earth." Su Yang passed the crying Wu Jingjing with a scary expression on his face. When Wu Jingjing saw the spine-chilling expression on his face and felt the killing intent in his aura, she hastily spoke in a terrified voice. "Why, you can't kill him. He's Emperor's lion's son." However, no response came from Su Yang as he immediately rushed at Lion Heng after handing Wu Min to Wu Jingjing. "Ha ha ha! What do you think you are going to do with your cultivation that's only at the 6th level heavenly spirit realm? I am at the peak of the lion. Heng laughed arrogantly when he saw Su Yang rushing at him despite his superior cultivation base. However, before Lion Heng could even finish his sentence, Su Yang suddenly disappeared from his view and appeared right beside him in a split second, and the only thing he saw before feeling intense pain was a large fist flying towards his handsome face. Boom! Despite having a higher cultivation base and being at the peak of the heavenly spirit realm, Lion Heng was unable to resist the immense force from Su Yang's punch and was sent flying like a rag doll before smashing into one of the buildings there and destroying the wall. The entire place turned silent, and the disciples there stared at Su Yang and the massive hole in the wall with gawking expressions on their faces, looking as though they'd just witnessed their ancestors rising from their graves. Hell, even Wu Min stopped crying when she witnessed the scene. Oh my lord, he actually dared to punch Emperor Lion's son in the face, the disciples exclaimed with terrified expressions after they realized the gravity of the situation. How dare you? Lion Heng escaped from the rubble a few seconds later and landed many meters away from Su Yang before staring at him with bloodshot eyes and a bloody nose. I swear to, Lion Heng roared. However, before he could even finish his sentence, Su Yang suddenly appeared before him in an instant like a ghost and grabbed his robes by the chest. Are you trying to scare my daughter with your loud voice again? I guess you are the slow type that needs more than one lesson before you understand anything. Su Yang raised his fist and punched Lion Heng in the face again. However, because Su Yang was clutching to his robes, Lion Heng did not fly anywhere and remained standing levitating there. Do you understand now? Su Yang suddenly punched Lion Heng in the face again before he could even open his mouth to respond. No, Pop. Su Yang punched him again. How about now? Pop. Still no. Pop, pop, pop. The disciples watched in horror as Su Yang savagely pummeled Lion Heng in his face for the next few minutes until Lion Heng's entire face was swollen black and blue. Chapter 659, Pummeling the Crown Prince. Please. I understand. Lion Heng managed to mumble in a low voice after eating Su Yang's fist for the 10th time. What? I didn't hear you, Su Yang said as he raised his fist again. I said I understand. Please stop hitting me. Lion Heng shouted despite the pain on his face. Su Yang shook his head and released another punch at Lion Heng's face. You clearly don't understand a damn thing. Su Yang sighed as he continued to pummel Lion Heng until he was satisfied a few minutes later. Once Su Yang stopped beating Lion Heng, he tossed Lion Heng's body to the side like trash before returning to Wu Jingjing's side. Su Yang, you didn't kill him, right? Wu Jingjing asked him in a worried tone. If he really killed Emperor Lion's son, one can only imagine the outrage it would cause. Of course not. I would love to kill him, but I still need the 4 elements root from his father, he responded in a casual voice. Wu Jingjing stared at him with wide eyes. So if not for the 4 elements root, he wouldn't have hesitated to kill the emperor's son. Wait a second. Just as Su Yang and Wu Jingjing began walking away, Lion Heng called out to them. What do you want? Are you not satisfied with my beating and want more? Su Yang turned to look at him, who was already applying medicine to his face and swallowing recovery pills. I challenge you to an official match. If you can defeat me in a sword battle, I will give up on Wu Jingjing and never bother her again. However, if I win, you will disappear from her life. What kind of nonsense is that? Su Yang shook his head with an unimpressed expression on his face. You are suggesting a bet where you have nothing to lose while I lose my woman and daughter, and why swords? What if I don't know how to use a sword? No matter how you look at it, this isn't fair in the slightest. So what if it isn't fair? I am Lion Heng, son of Emperor Lion and the Crown Prince. If I wanted to take Wu Jingjing by force, who can stop me? If you don't agree to this battle, I will use my authority to take her by force, and you can't do anything to stop me unless you fight me on the stage with a sword. "Your Highness, you are going overboard. My father won't let you do as you please even if you are his disciple and the crown prince," Wu Jingjing said to him with an unpleasant frown on her face. "Don't worry, Wu Jingjing, I won't physically force you to become mine or anything like that. If I was that kind of person, you would have become my woman long ago," Lion Heng spoke with a confident grin on his face. Wu Jingjing was speechless. Did Su Yang beat him too hard that he'd lost some of his senses? No matter how he forces himself on her, she is still being forced to be with him. "Ha!" Su Yang sighed loudly. He then turned around to face Lion Heng with a narrowed gaze before speaking in a calm voice. "Since beating you with my fist was not good enough, I guess I will have to do it with a sword instead. When do you want to do this? I don't have much time here, so the quicker we deal with this the better," he said. "Right now. We are going to fight right now," Lion Heng said. I don't want to appear as someone bullying someone who's already injured, so I will give you some time to recover before we begin," Su Yang said. "Follow me," Lion Heng said to Su Yang before walking away. "I guess we will have to postpone the meeting with your father until we deal with him," Su Yang said to Wu Jingjing. "No matter what you do, just don't kill him. I don't want my father or the Holy Sword Academy to feel Emperor Lion's wrath," Wu Jingjing warned him. "Ha ha ha, don't worry, I won't kill him, but I will butcher his pride as a man," Su Yang laughed as he followed Lion Heng with a casual feeling around him. Wu Jingjing sighed before following him with Wu Min in her arms. This is crazy. We need to let everyone know about this event. The Crown Prince is going to fight with senior apprentice sister Wu's partner on the stage. A sword battle too. News of Su Yang and Lion Heng's battle spread across the entire Holy Sword Academy sect like a wildfire, shocking every disciple that heard it. And very quickly, pretty much every disciple and sect elder in the sect gathered at the stage to witness this fight. And although some sect elders wanted to stop this fight before it got out of hand, they didn't dare to refuse Lion Heng during such a sensitive time, as everyone and their mother knew about the Crown Prince's affection for Wu Jingjing. Heavens, what happened to His Highness's face? It looks horrible. The first thing the disciples noticed when they saw Lion Heng was his beaten face, looking like someone had smashed his face against the wall multiple times. What? That handsome young man did that to His Highness. Unbelievable. How could His Highness suffer such a devastating defeat from someone who's 3 whole levels below his own cultivation? I'm sure it was foul play, hence why His Highness wanted to fight him on the stage with so many witnesses. Wow, that young man is senior apprentice sister Wu's partner. I totally understand why she'd pick someone like him. Right. I wouldn't mind being imprgnated by someone like him either. An hour later, when the seats around the stage were filled to the brim with disciples, and Lion Heng's face injury had healed to the point where he could no longer feel any pain, Su Yang and Lion Heng stepped onto the stage. However, not even a moment later, a dominating presence appeared not far away, and a beautiful woman with peerless features resembling a fairy descended from the heavens and landed beside the stage. When this beautiful fairy appeared, the surroundings became dead silent, and everybody there stared at her as though they were at loss for words. Chapter 660, Mysterious Beauty. Su Yang looked at this beautiful fairy who appeared out of thin air in silence, as her appearance rivaled Wu Jingjing, Zhu Menji, and even Zai Xingfang. "What the hell are you doing here?" Lion Heng said to her with a frown on his face. The beautiful woman glanced at him before responding in a nonchalant voice. "I can ask you the same thing. What the hell are you doing?" "It's none of your business, so quickly get out of my face," said Lion Heng, not caring for her disrespectful tone. "None of my business. I have already seen everything from the beginning, and your actions are sickening. Are you trying to ruin the Lion family's reputation with your farce?" I was going to intervene, but when I saw you getting beaten like a dog, I had to stop myself as I didn't want to interrupt such an entertaining scene. "Shut the hell up and stay out of my way," Lion Heng roared at her. "Oh, you don't have to worry about me getting in your way. I am just here as a spectator," she calmly responded, feeling no pressure despite facing the crown prince, even arguing with him. Who is this woman? Su Yang was intrigued by this mysterious woman's abnormal presence. Noticing Su Yang's gaze, the beautiful woman turned to look at him with a cold expression. "I don't know who you are, and I would like to reward you for beating this dog, but no matter the situation, you have raised your hands against someone from the lion family. I hope you are prepared for the consequences of defying the lion family." Hearing her warning, Su Yang smiled and said, "I also don't know who you are, nor do I care, but if anyone dares to touch my women, even if they are the emperor's son, I will promptly deal with them. He is already immensely lucky that I haven't killed him for trying to covet my woman." The woman narrowed her eyes at him and spoke in a cold voice. "Your words just now, I can take that as a challenge to the lion family, right?" Seeing her strong reaction, Su Yang could guess her identity, and he spoke. "You must also belong to the lion family. No wonder why you dare to speak with this idiot on equal footing." "Su Yang, that's the crown prince's elder sister and also Emperor Lion's only daughter, Lion Li," Wu Jingjing said to him from outside the stage. "It doesn't matter who they are. If they dare to oppose me, I will put them in their place," Su Yang said with a domineering aura around him. He narrowed his eyes at Lion Li and continued, "If you have a problem with that, you can also come up here after I deal with that idiot. If you cannot wait, I don't mind taking on both of you at once." "Such insolence!" Lion Li shouted, and her cultivation base that was surprisingly at the first-level sovereign spirit realm filled the entire stage. "Why don't we all calm down for a moment?" Suddenly, another pressure at the sovereign spirit realm appeared, canceling out Lion Li's pressure. The people there immediately turned to look towards the sky, where a man exuding a powerful aura was descending towards the stage. "Sect Master," the disciples there greeted this man. "Father." Wu Jingjing already expected his appearance sooner or later, so she wasn't surprised to see him appear here, though she didn't want Su Yang and her father to meet in such a condition. "Master." Lion Heng and Lion Li bowed to Wu Jiang despite their royal status, showing their deep respect for him. Wu Jiang nodded his head towards the royal siblings before turning to look at Su Yang with a profound gaze. "This young man is Su Yang." Wu Jiang was shocked inwardly when he saw Su Yang's young appearance, as he'd expected someone older. However, appearances can be very deceiving in the cultivation world, so he didn't dare to judge a book by its cover. "I rushed here after receiving a brief explanation of the situation, but before we start, I would like to know a few things," Wu Jiang said a moment later, his gaze still on Su Yang. Su Yang could easily guess what Wu Jiang wanted to ask him, so he cleared his throat and spoke in a calm and clear voice. "My name is Su Yang, and as you can guess, I am the one who imprignatd Wu Jingjing who later gave birth to Wu Min. It's nice to finally meet you, father-in-law." Father-in-law. Wu Jiang stared at Su Yang with a blank expression, as he was not prepared for this unfair attack by Su Yang. "Are you related to Immortal Fairy Su Yue by chance?" Wu Jiang suddenly asked him with a serious expression. "Immortal Fairy Su Yue? Nope. I have never heard of her before since I am not from around here," Su Yang lied with a straight face. After confirming that he was not related to Immortal Fairy Su Yue, Wu Jiang sighed in relief inwardly, as he didn't want to deal with Immortal Fairy Su Yue and the royal family. A moment of silence later, Wu Jiang spoke with a frown on his face. "I don't recall Wu Jingjing being engaged to anyone. And from my understanding, you told my daughter that you would not bear responsibility for impregnating her. Hence, why she has been taking care of Wu Min as a single mother ever since her birth." That is indeed what I had said to her before, but things have changed, and I have decided to take responsibility and accept her into my family, hence why I have come to the Holy Sword Academy today, Su Yang said. He's telling the truth, father. We were on our way to meet you, but the crown prince aggressively blocked our path, which led us to this stage, Wu Jingjing said to him. I understand your frustrations and the situation, but it does not justify beating the crown prince in such a vicious manner, Wu Jiang said to her before looking at Su Yang and continuing. Since you have offended the lion family, even I cannot save you. However, you can still save Wu Jingjing by staying away from her. I don't want her to get involved with your mess. Father, what are you saying? Wu Jingjing shouted at him with a baffled face. However, Wu Jiang ignored her and waited for Su Yang's response. After a moment of silence, Su Yang spoke with a calm expression on his face. Just like that idiot over there, if you want to take Wu Jingjing away from me, then you'll have to defeat me in a sword fight. Many gasping noises could be heard from the surroundings after they heard Su Yang's bold words. Did he just challenge the sword saint to a sword match? The audacity, the boldness. What the heck? It turns out that he was an idiot all along. I feel sorry for senior apprentice Sister Wu. The place quickly became filled with laughter and many other noises. Chapter 661, Demon-Slaying Sword Silence. Wu Jiang suddenly roared, causing the entire place to turn silent. Once the entire place was silent, Wu Jiang turned to look at Su Yang with a narrowed gaze on his displeased expression. You, a junior who is only at the 6th level heavenly spirit realm, dares to challenge sovereign. A mere child who does not know the immensity between heaven and earth, Wu Jiang growled. However, Su Yang remained calm and spoke. Are you really the sect master of a sword sect? Even beginner swordmasters should know that in a sword battle, one's cultivation is not as important as one's understanding with the sword. Ha 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 ha. Lion Heng suddenly burst out laughing. I thought you were just being bold because he is Wu Jingjing's father, but to question a sword saint's understanding of the sword. You are just plain stupid. Sword saint? Ah, right. Wu Jingjing did mention that before. Anyway, I will show you what it takes to be called a sword saint later after I beat this idiot. Su Yang turned to look at Lion Heng and continued. Are you ready to fight yet? You think you can really defeat me in a sword battle? I don't know how much experience you have with the sword, but if you think you can beat me like previously when I have a sword in my hand, then you are gravely mistaken. Seeing this, Wu Jiang merely shook his head and spoke in a sighing voice before walking off the stage. Since you are Wu Min's father, I won't let you die in front of her, but since you have decided to challenge the lion family, I won't be able to save you once you leave this place. Father, are you seriously trying to separate Su Yang from us? You have no idea what you are doing, Wu Jingjing yelled at him in a fierce voice after he approached her. I have no idea what I am doing. I can say the same words to you, Jingjing. Clearly, you have chosen the wrong man to make a child with. If your mother was here, what do you think she would say about this situation? If mother was here, she would be scolding you for trying to separate Wu Min and her father, Wu Jingjing answered without hesitation. Aya, where did I go wrong in teaching you? You are currently blinded by your feelings, Jingjing. However, I am confident that after this duel, your eyes will be able to see again, and then you will see just how pathetic of a man that person is. HMPH. I cannot wait to see you begging on your knees to Su Yang to stay with me once you witness his greatness. Wu Jingjing coldly snorted before ignoring him and turning her focus onto the stage. Once Su Yang and Lion Heng were standing about 50 meters apart from each other, Wu Jiang spoke. I, Wu Jiang, sect master of the Holy Sword Academy, will foresee this sword battle between His Highness, Lion Heng, and Su Yang. Although I cannot guarantee either of you that there will be no accidents, I can guarantee you that I will do my best to not let either of you die on the stage. Furthermore, since this is not a normal spar but a sword battle, you will only be allowed to sword techniques or techniques related to the sword, and you are only allowed to use swords of similar quality. This way, Neither of you will have an unfair advantage over the other, and it will be your sword techniques that will make the difference." After Wu Jiang ended his sentence, Lion Heng brought out a glowing black sword from his storage ring and pointed it at Su Yang. "I can already guess the answer, but do you have a sword of similar quality to my black demon sword?" The black demon sword was a heaven-grade treasure at the peak quality, and it emitted a tyrannical aura that caused the atmosphere to tremble in terror. "Indeed, I don't have a sword that can rival the one in your hands," Su Yang nodded. "However, I don't need a powerful sword to deal with you." "Ha ha ha, what kind of excuse is that?" Lion Heng laughed out loud, and the disciples watching also laughed at him. "Su Yang, take this sword," Wu Jingjing suddenly called out to him before tossing a beautiful sword with a red blade. "Oh, this sword is—" Su Yang caught the sword and looked at it with a nostalgic smile on his face. It was the same sword Wu Jingjing had used at the Nine Spring Hall. "That's the demon-slaying sword." The disciples there easily recognized this iconic sword that has multiple legends attached to its name. "Jingjing, you actually gave him your demon-slaying sword. That's our family heirloom," Wu Jiang yelled at her after seeing this. "So what if I did? I don't see anything wrong with giving the family heirloom to a family member, and he's already my husband," Wu Jingjing responded with a calm expression on her face. "What husband? When was the wedding? The two of you aren't even married," Wu Jiang retorted. "A wedding is only a ceremony." "Since that's the case, I am indeed married to him, as we already had a ceremony in our own way. It was very intense and passionate," Wu Jingjing said with a calm face. Wu Jiang nearly coughed up a mouthful of blood after hearing her suggestive words. "The demon-slaying sword slaying the black demon, it's quite fitting, don't you think?" Su Yang said to Lion Heng. "Don't get full of yourself. The fight hasn't even started yet," Lion Heng shouted at him. Su Yang merely smiled at him. "Are the two of you ready to fight?" Wu Jiang asked them a moment later. "Yes," Lion Heng shouted with enthusiasm. However, Su Yang said, "Give me a moment." He then drew a small circle around his feet with the demon-slaying sword before speaking in a calm voice. "Okay, we are ready to start." "What the heck are you doing?" Lion Heng frowned upon seeing this with an ominous feeling in his heart. Chapter 662, Unfathomable Arrogance. "Can't you tell by looking?" Su Yang said after hearing Lion Heng's question. "This is my circle, and if I take even a single step outside of this circle during the fight, I will count this battle as my loss." "What?" Lion Heng and the spectators immediately exclaimed in shock. "How dare you look down on me in such a manner?" Lion Heng roared with a fuming expression on his face. "Looking down on you? That is not possible, as you cannot look down on something that has been nothing since the beginning." Su Yang spoke with a nonchalant face. "You will fucking regret this," Lion Heng roared before exploding with intense sword intent. Crack, crack, crack. The sword intent emitted by Lion Heng was so intense that deep cuts were appearing around him on the stage, looking as though there were invisible swords flying around him. "This young man, I am speechless." Lion Li mumbled in a low voice, as this is her first time encountering someone so arrogant and domineering. Where is his confidence coming from? Although he managed to beat Lion Heng pretty badly before, this is an entirely different battlefield with different rules. Lion Heng is a genius swordmaster who managed to fully control his sword intent at 33 years old. Not even I would dare to claim that I could defeat Lion Heng without moving from that circle. Furthermore, I cannot sense any sword intent or sword chi from this guy. Lion Li pondered with a curious expression on her face, wondering if Su Yang can really achieve what he boasted. How can a mere nobody with zero known achievements or reputation have such confidence before someone like Lion Heng? It was simply incomprehensible to Lion Li. "Jingjing, I am at loss for words. Do you even believe that he could win this yourself?" Wu Jiang asked her. "Of course," she responded without hesitation. "Ha! Your blindness is worse than I'd thought. Wu Jiang shook his head in disappointment. On the stage, Su Yang raised his eyebrows after feeling Lion Heng's powerful sword intent, and he spoke. After seeing your sword intent, I have realized my mistake and would like to apologize. Su Yang then used his sword to draw another circle around his feet, which was even smaller than the previous circle he drew. I had vastly overestimated your abilities, and I would like to apologize for that, he said after drawing the circle. Fuck you. Lion Heng's eyes immediately became bloodshot, and he took his first step towards Su Yang. Sword Sparrow. Lion Heng swung his sword at Su Yang a dozen times in the blink of an eye, and a dozen black arc lights flew towards Su Yang at a frightening speed. Seeing this, Su Yang tightly gripped the demon-slaying sword and casually swung it. Whoosh! A massive red arc of light appeared from the swing and collided with Lion Heng's attacks. Crash! 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 The black arc lights were shattered into countless fragments the moment it touched the red arc of light without any signs of resistance, looking like they were eggs trying to smash a rock. What? Lion Heng immediately stopped running at Su Yang to dodge the massive arc of light flying at him, feeling his heart beating like crazy afterward. After barely dodging the attack, Lion Heng turned to look at Su Yang with wide eyes filled with disbelief. How did he manage to release such a powerful sword attack when he's not even emitting sword intent? What just happened? Even Lion Li and Wu Jiang could not understand what had just happened and stared at Su Yang with a gawking expression. Is that all you can do with your sword intent? How disappointing. Su Yang asked him with a bored expression on his face. I am just getting started. Lion Heng shouted before swinging the black demon sword viciously. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hundreds of black arc lights flew at Su Yang, blocking his view. Su Yang watched the arc of lights flying at him with a nonchalant expression on his face. He suddenly raised his hand, but it was not the hand he was holding his sword with, and in front of countless shocked gazes, he covered his mouth as he yawned. What the heck is he doing? Does he plan on blocking so many sword lights with his body? Wu Jiang cried inwardly, and he prepared to rush onto the stage to save him. However, before Wu Jiang could even move his body, the black arc of lights was sliced into countless fragments before they could even get close to Su Yang's body, almost as though they were cut by an invisible sword. What? Lion Heng's eyes widened with shock when all of his sword intent were destroyed before they could even reach Su Yang, who was only yawning at that moment. The place was dead silent, almost as though the entire world was quiet at this moment. Impossible. You must be cheating with some kind of treasure. Why can't my sword intent reach you when you are not even emitting sword intent? Lion Heng quickly accused him of cheating. Me? Cheating? Very well. Su Yang then turned to look at Wu Jingjing before tossing at her his storage rings and said, Hold them for me. However, he was not finished. After handing his storage rings to Wu Jingjing, Su Yang began stripping his own clothes until only his underwear remained. Heavens! Look at that flawless body. If only I can go on that stage and lick his body right now. The disciples stared at Su Yang's practically naked body with dropping jaws, especially the female disciples who were essentially drooling with lust at his perfect body at this moment. If you are not satisfied, should I also take off my last piece of armor? I don't mind fighting you naked, as I am quite confident in my own body. Su Yang said to him with a calm expression on his face, seemingly unfazed despite his appearance. Chapter 663, An incomprehensible fight. Why you? How can you fight in a sword battle with such a vulgar appearance? Do you have no shame? Lion Li pointed at Su Yang and yelled at him with a blushing face, as this is her first time seeing a man revealing more than just their neck and arm skin. Su Yang turned to look at Lion Li and spoke with a nonchalant expression on his face. Shame? Why would I feel ashamed of my own body? And if you don't like it, you can stop looking. Lion Li sucked her teeth in anger. How could she possibly not watch when she hasn't understood how his powers worked yet? This young man, Wu Jiang shook his head, but there was no rule stating that one cannot fight while being naked. Furthermore, he also suspected Su Yang of cheating, so he would actually prefer it if Su Yang fought naked. Anyway, let us continue our sword battle, Su Yang said to Lion Heng, who had been standing there with a dazed look on his face. You don't have to tell me. Heavenly sword cleave. Lion Heng raised his sword high into the air before cleaving it downwards, looking as though he wanted to split a mountain. Whoosh! A massive black light resembling the blade of a sword appeared in the air and fell towards Su Yang, bearing down immense pressure around him. Yet he still somehow manages to hold an unimpressed expression on his face. When will you learn that your sword intent will have no effect on me? Su Yang shook his head. You really are a slow learner. In just a moment, the black blade reached Su Yang's shoulders and threatened to slice his body in half. However, for some unknown reason, Wu Jiang did not make even the slightest movement and silently stared at Su Yang with wide eyes, almost as though he was trying to stare a hole into his body. Clang! The moment the black blade touched Su Yang's shoulder, almost like a mirror falling onto the floor, it shattered into many tiny pieces. What? How is this possible? What kind of trick are you using? Lion Heng felt like he was dreaming after witnessing the impossible before his eyes for the third time, even feeling like he was going to go crazy. Impossible. I have been watching his every movement, yet there weren't any suspicious movements from him. He is really just standing there and doing nothing. But that does not explain how he's able to break Lion Heng's sword techniques. Wu Jiang pondered with a deep frown. Even with his vast experience as the Sword Saint, he was unable to comprehend the situation before him, and he has never felt so disoriented in his entire life. Damn, just what on earth is he doing? I am going crazy just trying to figure it out. Lion Li felt like pulling on her own hair from the frustration of not being able to understand a single thing, feeling like she was inside a thick fog without any guide. I have never seen anything like this before. It feels like Lion Heng's sword intent are withdrawing from Su Yang instead of being destroyed by him, almost like they are afraid of hurting him. Wu Jingjing pondered with a curious gaze. And what happened to his sword chi? How come I can't feel it like in the past? Is he hiding it on purpose? As everyone pondered what had just happened and why Lion Heng's attacks cannot even reach Su Yang, much less hurt him, Su Yang said to Lion Heng, I think I have proved my point that you will never be able to defeat me in your current state. Why? Why can't my attacks reach you? Under my authority as the Crown Prince, I demand you to answer me. Lion Heng cried out loud, demanding an answer. However, Su Yang merely shook his head and said, You won't understand even if I told you. Fuck. I don't believe that my blade cannot reach you. If sword intent does not work, let's see if you can block my real sword with your body. Lion Heng roared before rushing at Su Yang with the black demon sword in his grasp. Die for me. The black demon sword glowed with a dark light before Lion Heng suddenly thrust it at Su Yang's chest, his aura radiating with killing intent. Su Yang smiled at this, and right before the black demon sword reached his chest, his arm flickered, catching the black blade with his bare arms. What? Lion Heng cried out loud before retreating, but alas, when he tried to pull his sword, he realized that it would not budge even slightly. The smile on Su Yang's face suddenly turned into a grin, and a second later an immense amount of sword intent gushed from his body. Ah! Lion Heng screamed in terror as many sword cuts appeared on his body, the instant Su Yang released his sword intent. Your Highness! Wu Jiang shouted in a terrified voice, yet he did not move from his spot, as everything happened so fast that it was already too late by the time he could react. Su Yang reclaimed his sword intent after releasing it for a brief second, and Lion Heng collapsed onto the floor the next moment with blank eyes and over 100 sword injuries on his body. However, luckily for him, they were only minor injuries and nothing life-threatening. When Wu Jiang saw this, he released a deep and long sigh of relief, as he cannot imagine what would happen to the Holy Sword Academy if Su Yang had killed Lion Heng at that moment. What powerful sword intent! Lion Li held a serious frown on her beautiful face after experiencing Su Yang's sword intent that made her heart skip a beat, even though she was on the other side of the stage. And she cannot help but wonder what it would feel to face such a powerful sword intent head-on. After a moment of pondering, Lion Li nodded to herself with a resolute expression on her face before jumping onto the stage, dumbfounding everybody there. Chapter 664, slightly better than Lion Heng. What powerful sword intent! Even though it was only for a brief moment, Su Yang's sword intent had caused Wu Jiang's heart to skip a beat. Furthermore, Wu Jiang was confident that Su Yang had not used his full power just now. If Su Yang were to use all of his sword intent, there was no doubt that Lion Heng would have died. Just how much more power is he hiding? Wu Jiang stared at Su Yang with a complicated frown on his face. When Wu Jingjing noticed her father's perplexed expression, she silently smiled to herself. If you think that was impressive, just wait until he uses that sword technique. Meanwhile, Lion Li suddenly jumped onto the stage, shocking everybody there. Her Highness just entered the stage. Does she plan on avenging her junior brother? The disciples watched with nearly uncontrollable excitement, as they rarely got to see Lion Li fight. Somebody get that disgraceful dog out of the stage! Lion Li suddenly shouted in a commanding voice, and a sect elder immediately went to bring the unconscious Lion Heng off the stage. Once they were alone on the stage, Lion Li retrieved a sword with a blue blade that emitted a chilling aura from her storage ring and pointed it at Su Yang before speaking. "Do you dare to accept my challenge? Are you trying to avenge him?" Su Yang asked her with a calm expression on his face. "Revenge? You are mistaken. I couldn't care less even if you removed his limbs. However, you have openly challenged the Lion family and even slapped our face before so many people, so I am going to punish you for that." She spoke with a cold expression on her fairy-like face. "Is that so? But I don't like hurting women, especially the beautiful ones, without a damn good reason. What kind of excuse is that? Are you running away from me after barking so loudly not too long ago? If I recall correctly, you said that if I had a problem, I could step onto the stage, and that is exactly what I am doing. Or are you going to go back on your words? Maybe you are actually a coward behind that facade filled with confidence." Su Yang narrowed his eyes at Lion Li and remained silent for a moment before nodding. "Very well, since you insist on fighting me, I will accept your challenge." And then he continued, "However, since this is a challenge, there will be a loser and a winner, and in such cases, the loser usually has to sacrifice something." Hearing his words, Lion Li quickly responded, "If you can defeat me in a sword battle, I will act as though everything that happened today never happened, and I will turn a blind eye to your disrespectful behavior towards the Lion family just this time. However, if you lose this challenge, you will have to bear the full responsibility for disrespecting the Lion family without uttering a single complaint, no matter the punishment." Su Yang nodded. "That sounds reasonable. However, to make this challenge more fun, why don't we add a few more rules?" "What are you thinking?" Lion Li frowned, feeling an ominous feeling about the smile that just appeared on Su Yang's face. "It's quite simple, actually. Since I only dare to cut women who are my enemy, I will defeat you without harming a single hair on your body. If I injure your skin even a little with my sword or any sword techniques, it will automatically be my defeat." "What? Are you serious?" Lion Li looked at him with wide eyes. "Does he actually plan on defeating her without hurting her? Is that even possible?" Of course. And if I manage to achieve such a feat, in addition to your previous words, you'll also have dinner with me tonight. Su Yang spoke with a handsome smile on his face. The entire place turned silent after Su Yang's last sentence, and every disciple at the arena was staring at Su Yang with disbelief on their faces. The audacity, a loud voice boomed. However, it was no Lion Li who spoke just now. Instead, such words came from Wu Jiang's mouth. Are you fucking with me right now? How dare you court another woman, Her Highness, no less in front of Jingjing who gave birth to your child? Does the word fidelity not exist in your world? Wu Jiang shouted at Su Yang while pointing fingers. And you, Jingjing, are you still going to defend him after seeing this? This is the kind of man he really is. Wu Jiang turned to look at her afterward. Wu Jingjing was speechless. If her father is already this angry in this situation, one can only imagine his reaction once he learns about the identity of Zhu Jiayi's father and all of Su Yang's other women. There's no point explaining it to you when you are this emotional, father, Wu Jingjing said to him before ignoring him again. I don't care anymore. Wu Jiang could feel his blood boiling from anger at this moment. Meanwhile, Lion Li silently stared at Su Yang with a deep frown on her face. Despite her beauty, this is actually her first time being courted by a man due to her immense status, much less by a man that's partially naked who also dared to challenge and disrespect her family in public. I don't know what you're thinking inside that messed up head of yours, but if you really think you can defeat me without harming me, there is clearly something wrong with you. You can think whatever you want about me. All I want to know is whether or not you agree to the additional rule, Su Yang said to her with a smile on his face. I agree. If you can really defeat me, much less accomplish that without harming me, I will be willing to do whatever you want me to. Lion Li suddenly waved her sword with intense sword intent exuding from her aura, and there was even a hint of sword chi within her aura, causing the atmosphere there to change drastically. I guess you're slightly better than your brother, Su Yang said with a calm expression on his face after seeing her sword intent. Thank you for listening to the story on KevinAudio.com chapter 665. What do you think you are doing to me, you damn pervert? Only slightly better, Lion Li frowned after hearing his words. Lion Heng would not be able to defeat her even if she were to fight him while blindfolded, yet he claims that she was only slightly better than Lion Heng. What kind of nonsense is this? Since there appears to be some problem with your sights, allow me to open them for you. Lion Li suddenly rushed at Su Yang with sword intent gushing from her body like an aura. Taste my glacial blades. The blue sword in her hands emitted such a cold temperature that everywhere it went, a trail of ice would appear. Boom! Su Yang used the Demon Slayer sword to intercept Lion Li's strike, and the moment their swords touched each other, a massive explosion occurred from the impact. An extremely cold breeze suddenly assaulted Su Yang, freezing the surface of his skin in an instant, until nearly his entire body from the neck down was frozen solid. Lion Li retreated immediately after the attack and looked at Su Yang's frozen body with a grin on her face. You don't look so good. Why don't you put your clothes on before we continue? This feeling isn't too bad. It's actually quite refreshing, almost like taking a cold bath under the blazing sun, Su Yang said, still with a calm expression on his face. A second later, his body began turning red, and the ice around his body quickly melted. What did you do just now? Lion Li frowned after seeing how Su Yang escaped her technique with such ease. Because of my unique cultivation technique, my body contains extremely potent yang qi. If you want to freeze my body, you'll need something cold enough to freeze the entire Jade Sea. What the hell? Why does his body contain so much yang qi? That's pure recklessness. Lion Li could not comprehend why any cultivator would want such powerful yang qi in their body, as she was not familiar with dual cultivators. much less a dual cultivator of Su Yang's caliber. And from her knowledge, having too much yang qi for any cultivator is an extremely dangerous situation, and one must find the perfect balance for their spiritual energy, or they will only harm themselves. Just what kind of cultivation technique is he cultivating? How can he cultivate his sword intent to such a high level with such a messed up body? Even Wu Jiang could not understand the situation. However, this is mostly due to the nature of the holy central continent that lacked dual cultivators, as there were no sects that would practice dual cultivation when swords and medicine dominated the holy central continent. Anyway, are you done showing off? If you are, it's my turn to attack, Su Yang said to her, treating this entire fight as though it was a joke and they were only playing. Are you making fun of me? Lion Li shouted angrily before running at him again. If sword intent does not work on you, let's see if you can handle sword qi. The aura around Lion Li suddenly cracked, becoming increasingly intense and sharp, almost as if she'd turned into a real sword. Ha! Lion Li shouted at the top of her lungs as she struck Su Yang with nothing but her sword qi and her sword. Seeing this, Su Yang showed a mysterious smile on his face, and his aura also exploded with sword qi. What? Lion Li's eyes widened with shock after seeing Su Yang explode with sword qi, but it was too late for her to stop her attack. Clang! Ah! Lion Li was sent flying by the impact of their clash, but she managed to recover her balance midair before returning to the ground. Impossible! Lion Li stared at Su Yang with a dazed expression, seemingly in disbelief. He can also use sword qi. Wu Jiang held a shocked expression on his face as his gaze stared at the sharp aura around Su Yang. How did he conceal such powerful sword qi to the extent where even I was unable to sense it? He then turned to look at Wu Jingjing, who was smiling, and asked her, "Did you know about this the entire time?" "I don't know what you're talking about, father. I am blind after all." Wu Jingjing spoke with a nonchalant expression on her face. Wu Jiang was speechless at her petty response. What a surprise. I didn't expect you to also have sword kai. Lion Li spoke with a weird expression on her face. Why are you so surprised? It's only sword qi, Su Yang said to her with a calm face. Only sword qi, you say? There are only 3 individuals who can use sword qi on this entire continent, Master Wu, the Grand Elder, and me, and I am barely scratching the surface in terms of knowledge for sword qi. Lion Li said to him, and she continued, "Just who are you, really? How can you use sword intent and sword qi while having such a messed up body? That's quite rude of you to say that I have a messed up body." Su Yang shook his head. "Anyway, since you have nothing else to show, it's my turn to attack." Su Yang suddenly began walking towards Lion Li in small and casual steps, looking as though he was taking a stroll in the park. "Qi, don't underestimate me." Instead of trying to defend herself, Lion Li actually approached Su Yang in an aggressive manner. However, before she could even take 2 steps, the demon-slaying sword in Su Yang's grasp suddenly flickered, disappearing for a split second. The next second, Lion Li felt as though her body suddenly got lighter, causing her to stop moving and look down. When Lion Li realized that some of her clothes had been chipped away, revealing her smooth skin, she immediately turned to look at Su Yang with a fuming expression. What do you think you are doing to me, you damn pervert?" Chapter 666. Public humiliation. When the disciples in the arena realized what had happened, their eyes widened with shock, especially the male disciples. And they stared at Lion Li's peerless figure like their life depended on it, despite knowing that they could be punished for even daring to take a peek. Even Wu Jiang was shocked speechless by Su Yang's daring actions, and he finally realized what Su Yang meant by defeating her without hurting her. If he cannot harm her body, he can simply force her to withdraw. And what better way to make a woman withdraw than to strip them naked in front of tens of thousands of spectators, publicly humiliating her? Do you have no shame, you pervert? How dare you even think of using such lowly tactics against royalty? I swear to God I will have your head for this. Lion Li shouted at him with her body trembling from anger. However, Su Yang merely shrugged his shoulders and said, "What else can I do? I only strike women that are my enemies." "Then I am your enemy." "No, you are my enemy," Lion Li shouted before running at him again. "Die for me, you damn pervert." Lion Li suddenly activated her sovereign spirit realm cultivation base, strengthening the sword chi aura even more. The blue sword in her grasp danced elegantly, and in the blink of an eye, Lion Li released a torrent of sword attacks at Su Yang. "Your movements are being affected by your emotions, you should calm down," Su Yang said to her as he casually dodged her sword attacks. "Shut up!" Lion Li ignored his words and continued to attack him without stopping. Seeing this, Su Yang released his sword chi again, and since Lion Li was much closer to him this time, even larger holes appeared on her clothes a second later, revealing even more of her skin to the public. "Ooh!" The male disciples cheered for Su Yang inwardly after seeing this. "Aha!" Lion Li shrieked as she jumped away from Su Yang. However, Su Yang did not allow her to escape and followed her this time. "Stay away from me, you damn pervert." Lion Li frantically swung her sword at Su Yang without any technique or elegance behind her movements while running away, looking like a scared little girl being chased by a monster. "Do you give up? If you withdraw, I will stop chipping away your clothes. However, if you refuse defeat, you will sooner or later have to fight me while being naked." Su Yang laughed as he chased after her around the stage. The spectators were speechless. What the heck are they watching right now? What happened to the sword battle? What on earth is even happening? Wu Jiang mumbled in a dazed voice. Even Wu Jingjing couldn't help but chuckle at this silly situation. After running a few laps around the stage, Lion Li suddenly tripped over herself and fell on the floor. When Su Yang saw this, his eyes flickered with a vicious light. Whoosh! An immense amount of sword chi that caused the entire world to tremble suddenly exploded from Su Yang's body, catching everybody off guard with shock and awe. It was a frightening amount of sword chi that caused even Wu Jiang's heart to tremble from fear, much less Lion Li, who was directly below such a terrifying pressure. "Die!" Su Yang raised his sword and swung it directly at Lion Li's neck. "Stop! You can't kill her!" Wu Jiang screamed in a panicked voice, but alas, his reaction was delayed by Su Yang's explosive sword chi. "Ah!" Lion Li's life flashed before her eyes with the feeling of death looming right in front of her, and she lost consciousness before Su Yang's sword could even reach her. Clang! The demon-slaying sword stabbed into the ground directly next to Lion Li, barely missing her neck, and the entire stage was cleanly split in half as a result. The arena turned dead silent for an entire minute as the people there tried to comprehend what had just happened. After pulling the demon-slaying sword from the ground, Su Yang noticed a wet and warm feeling by his feet, causing him to look down, and to his surprise, a small puddle of translucent water had suddenly appeared beside his feet out of thin air. "I guess I went overboard in trying to scare her." Su Yang mumbled to himself after realizing that he'd scared Lion Li to the point where she not only fell unconscious, but also pissed herself. "Toss me my stuff." Su Yang turned to look at Wu Jingjing and said to her, "Why, yes." Wu Jingjing snapped out of her daze and tossed his clothes and storage ring at him. Once he had his stuff again, Su Yang retrieved a pair of Profound Blossom Sect's disciple robes from his storage ring and laid it over the unconscious Lion Li as though it was a blanket before putting his own clothes on. And then right before the gazes of tens of thousands of Holy Sword Academy disciples, Su Yang walked in front of Wu Jiang, their sect master, and spoke in a calm voice. "You are the only one left, father-in-law." Wu Jiang stared at Su Yang with a serious frown on his face. Although he did not take Su Yang seriously at first, after witnessing Su Yang's profound sword qi that caused even his heart to tremble, he no longer has a choice but to look at Su Yang as a real threat to him, the sword saint. "Are you serious about challenging me to a sword battle?" Wu Jiang asked him after a moment of silence. He then looked at Lion Heng, who is still being treated by the sect elders, and then at Lion Li, who was lying unconscious on the stage. "Do you have any idea what you've done today? You have just publicly humiliated Emperor Lion's beloved children before tens of thousands of people, yet you still want to fight me. What exactly are you trying to accomplish here? I didn't humiliate them, they were the ones begging to be humiliated by me. And if this Emperor Lion has a problem with that, he can complain to my face. In fact, I will be meeting him later," Su Yang said with a smile on his face. "What? You're going to meet with His Majesty later?" Wu Jiang stared at him with wide eyes, clearly at loss for words. Chapter 667, One Free Attack. For what purpose are you trying to meet with Emperor Lion? Wu Jiang asked him with a frown. Unless one has a deep background or was recommended by someone close to Emperor Lion, it was nearly impossible to meet with him. "Don't worry about it, it's none of your business," Su Yang responded with a nonchalant face. "Just who are you, really?" Wu Jiang asked him a moment later. "Me. I am the man who impregnatd your daughter," Su Yang responded with a serious expression on his face, dumbfounding Wu Jiang. After a moment of silence, Wu Jiang spoke with profound light in his eyes. "Very well. Since you dared to challenge me, the Sword Saint, to a sword battle, I will accept your challenge." Wu Jiang then flew and hovered above the destroyed stage and looked down on Su Yang. "What are you waiting for? Come up here." A smile appeared on Su Yang's face, and he flew into the air until he was a dozen meters away from Wu Jiang. "Let's alter the rules for this match," Wu Jiang suddenly said. "What do you have in mind? In this sword battle, we are not allowed to move, nor are we allowed to use our swords or sword techniques." When the spectators heard Wu Jiang's words, they looked at each other with puzzled looks on their faces. They cannot move, use their swords or sword techniques. Then how are they supposed to fight each other? There's only one thing they can use: their sword intent. This is a genuine sword battle where one can only depend on their sword intent. Su Yang immediately realized what Wu Jiang was trying to do, and he nodded his head without hesitation. "You want to fight me using only sword intent? I don't mind. In fact, it makes this even more exciting. Not just sword intent, sword qi is also allowed," Wu Jiang said. Su Yang nodded before returning the demon-slaying sword to Wu Jingjing. "Good luck, Su Yang. Show my father what it means to be a frog in a well," Wu Jingjing shouted to him after catching the demon-slaying sword. "A frog in a well, me?" Wu Jiang looked at her with disbelief in his eyes. How could she say such a thing to her own father? Ha ha ha. "Don't worry, I shall open the eyes of every person that is watching this today and show them what it means to be a real swordmaster. And I am going to show them what a true sword saint looks like." Su Yang then pointed at Wu Jiang and spoke with a cold gaze. "You do not have qualifications to call yourself a sword saint, and you are at best an average swordmaster who grasped the understanding of sword qi by sheer luck, but you have not yet mastered it. What? The audacity! Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you claim the sect master doesn't deserve the title of sword saint? Who are you calling fake swordmasters? Don't get ahead of yourself just because you defeated His Highness and Her Highness. The sword saint is on a whole other level." The sect elders and the disciples in the arena immediately began cursing at Su Yang after his bold claims. "You dare to question my title of sword saint?" Wu Jiang looked at Su Yang with bloodshot eyes, as he has never been disrespected to such an immense degree. "You, who cannot even figure out why their sword intent did not affect me, dare to claim the title of sword saint. One can only imagine the outrage it would cause if you were in the divine heavens." Su Yang shook his head at Wu Jiang. "Divine heavens?" Wu Jiang raised an eyebrow. This is his first time hearing of such a place. Anyways, go ahead. Since you and everyone here seem so confident in your title of Sword Saint, I'll give you one chance to prove to me that you're worthy of such a title. One move, you get one chance to attack me with whatever you've got, and I won't block it. The spectators gasped in shock after hearing his words. Just how much does he look down on others? Does his arrogance even have a limit? Not even Emperor Lion would so brazenly give the Sword Saint one free attack during a sword battle. You're giving me one free attack. Wu Jiang mumbled in a low voice before he burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha. I have never seen such insanity. After laughing for a moment, he suddenly stopped and spoke with a grim expression on his face. While I would normally not lower myself to such standards, I will make this an exception just for you, brat who needs to be put in his place. Following his words, an immense amount of sword intent erupted from Wu Jiang's body, and his aura shot up to the sky, almost like he wanted to split the heavens in half with his sword intent alone. I have never seen such a powerful sword intent before, as expected of the Sword Saint. The sect master's sword intent is powerful enough to split a mountain in half. That young man is definitely regretting his decision to give the sect master one free attack now. While the disciples expressed their awe for Wu Jiang's sword intent, Su Yang merely shook his head and spoke in a disappointed voice. This is why you're not qualified to bear the title of Sword Saint. You are just like that idiot who doesn't learn. You have already seen that sword intent does not work on me, yet you're still going to use sword intent. What a waste. At this rate, I can give you 100 free attacks and you still won't defeat me. Don't compare my sword intent to His Highness's sword intent. I don't mean to be disrespectful to him, but my sword intent is on another level in comparison, like heaven and earth. However, Su Yang sighed. No matter how strong your sword intent is, at the end of the day, it is still only sword intent. Chapter 668, Spirit Heaven's Sword Emperor. Enough talking. We'll see whether or not my sword intent will have an effect on you right now. Wu Jiang roared before unleashing his sword intent, and the image of a translucent sword appeared out of thin air. Seeing this translucent blade cleaving towards his body, Su Yang reenacted his fight with Lion Heng by standing there and letting Wu Jiang's sword intent attack his defenseless body. Heavens! He's really planning on taking the sect master's sword intent with his body. He's insane. This is what a real madman looks like, the disciples exclaimed. Su Yang. Wu Jingjing watched with wide eyes as the sword intent quickly reached Su Yang, and the instant the sword intent touched Su Yang's body, clang. The translucent sword created by Wu Jiang's sword intent immediately crumbled into countless pieces before disappearing into thin air. The place was so silent that it seemed as though the entire world was quiet right now, and everybody was staring at Su Yang with their eyes popping out of their sockets. As for Wu Jiang, he merely stood there with an empty expression on his face, looking like he was daydreaming. Did you expect a different outcome? I'm sorry to disappoint you, Su Yang said to Wu Jiang in a calm voice. Why aren't you responding, father-in-law? Are you not satisfied with the results? You can go ahead and try as many times as you want. Shut the hell up. Wu Jiang suddenly interrupted Su Yang with a loud roar, and his aura exploded with sword qi. I don't know what kind of trick you're using to block our sword intent, but I do not believe that you can do the same with sword qi. Taste my sword qi. Wu Jiang violently waved his sleeves, and 1,000 translucent swords appeared in the air before flying towards Su Yang. Sword qi, huh? A mysterious grin appeared on Su Yang's face, and to everybody's surprise, he suddenly closed his eyes. However, right as the translucent swords were millimeters from piercing his body, Su Yang suddenly snapped his eyes open and shouted in a powerful voice, "Scram!" A profound ripple that emitted a divine and otherworldly aura was suddenly released from his body and swept the entire arena. Clang! 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 The thousands of sword chi created by Wu Jiang shattered the instant they even got close to this ripple, and even Wu Jiang was sent flying into the distance after touching this ripple, coughing up a mouthful of blood afterward. What in the name of heavens is this unfathomable feeling? Wu Jiang ignored the pain in his body and cried out loud. My sword. My sword is trembling. When someone at the arena shouted this out loud, every person there that was carrying a sword turned to look at their sword to see their sword trembling as well, almost like the swords were shaking in excitement. Did that young man cause this phenomenon with his aura? One of the more experienced sect elders there speculated. In the midst of the uproar, Wu Jiang shouted at Su Yang, "What did you do just now? Your aura feels like sword intent, but that's clearly not sword intent. It also resembles sword chi, yet it clearly isn't sword chi. What kind of aura is that?" Su Yang looked at Wu Jiang with a calm yet sharp gaze, and he spoke in a slow but clear voice. When it comes to the Tao of swords and becoming a swordmaster, sword intent is merely the beginning. Once one's sword intent reaches a certain level, they will be able to learn sword chi. However, sword chi is not even close to the limit of the sword path, and above sword chi we have sword will, where one can control the will of swords, which includes sword intent and sword chi. Sword will, something that's above even sword chi. Wu Jiang listened to this new term with a dazed expression on his face. And in front of a swordmaster who can use sword will, all sword intent and sword chi will become useless. Hence why neither sword intent nor sword chi can touch me, much less hurt me. Furthermore, sword will is not something one can see with their bare eyes, and unless you grasp the concept of sword will, you won't be able to sense it no matter how much experience you have with sword intent or sword chi. There are also many levels of sword will, but I won't get into that here, as that will only be a waste of breath. However, here is what I will say: unless you can use the highest level of sword will, much less sword will itself, don't you dare call yourself a sword saint. Su Yang then swept the crowd with a cold gaze. And for all of you who believe you only need to know sword intent to become a swordmaster, you have no idea how foolish and ignorant sounding you are. Being able to use sword intent only means you have managed to step into the world of the swords. You are still nowhere near the level of a swordmaster, as you would need to know sword chi before you can even be considered as a swordmaster at the lowest level. Just who are you, really? Wu Jiang asked him after a long moment of silence. I have been called many names and titles throughout my life, but for those who study the Tao of Swords, they often refer to me as Spirit Heaven's Sword Emperor. Su Yang spoke with a domineering aura around him. Spirit Heaven's Sword Emperor. Wu Jiang stared at Su Yang with a gawking look on his face. Su Yang's domineering title made his title as Sword Saint seem almost insignificant. Su Yang then continued, "Anyway, do you wish to continue this sword battle? If you still think you can defeat me, I will gladly show you what one can achieve with sword will." Wu Jiang did not immediately respond and hovered in the air with a pondering expression. Chapter 669, Admitting Defeat. As much as I want to see for myself what his sword will can do, I have this ominous feeling in my gut that's telling me to retreat from this sword battle and admit defeat. Wu Jiang pondered with a deep frown on his face. In the midst of Wu Jiang's thoughts, Su Yang suddenly spoke. I forgot to mention this, but due to my insufficient cultivation base, I do not have perfect control over my sword will, so if I accidentally kill you or destroy this sect, you can't blame me, okay? Like hell I am going to let you do that. Wu Jiang quickly exclaimed before saying, "Fine, I admit defeat. If neither sword intent nor sword chi works on you, I will lose regardless of what I do due to the rules of this battle." However, just as Wu Jiang prepared to leave, Su Yang stopped him and said, "Wait, you think you can leave just like that? What else do you want from me?" Wu Jiang looked at him with a frown. Su Yang did not respond and merely pointed at Wu Jingjing. Wu Jiang immediately knew his intentions and took a deep breath before saying in a loud voice, "Wu Jingjing, I was wrong and you were right. It turns out that I was the blind one all along. Although he is a little arrogant and daring, he has the abilities to back his arrogance, and I cannot imagine someone more fitting than him to be your husband." "Father!" Wu Jingjing covered her mouth after hearing his words, even feeling the urge to cry. "Are you satisfied now? I won't try to separate you two anymore, and regarding the issue with the lion family, I will have a talk with Emperor Lion later," Wu Jiang said to Su Yang. "Though I cannot guarantee you that anything will come out of it. There's no need for you to speak with my father, master." Lion Li's voice suddenly resounded. "Oh, you're awake already." Su Yang looked at her with a smile on his face. "HMPH. Even a dead man would wake up if he was buried so close to your fight." Lion Li responded while wearing the Profound Blossom Sect's disciple robes on her body. "Anyway, since I have lost my sword battle with him, regardless of how it happened, I will keep my words and act as though nothing had occurred today. However, that does not mean my father will sit still once he learns of this. If he does decide to punish him, I won't help him, as that is not a part of our agreement." After a moment of silence, Su Yang said, "I think you're missing something." Lion Li immediately narrowed her eyes to glare at him with an annoyed gaze. "I know, I will have dinner with you tonight," she shouted sometime later. The disciples there gasped in shock after they heard Lion Li's words. They didn't think that she would actually agree to such a ridiculous request. "HMPH, just you wait. I will make you regret humiliating me in front of so many people," Lion Li thought to herself before disappearing from the area shortly later. "What are you going to do now?" Wu Jiang asked Su Yang afterward. "Who knows? Our purpose for coming here was to introduce myself to you, but since we have accomplished that and some more," Su Yang then looked at Wu Jingjing and continued, "What should we do now?" "There are still a few things I need to tell you, father. We should talk about it elsewhere," Wu Jingjing said. Wu Jiang nodded before speaking in a loud voice, "You are all dismissed." Hearing the sect master's command, the disciples in the arena immediately dispersed and returned to whatever they were doing previously. Sometime later, Wu Jiang brought Wu Jingjing and Su Yang to the sect master's quarters. "So, what do you want to talk to me about?" Wu Jiang looked at them with a serious expression. Wu Jingjing looked at Su Yang for a brief moment before speaking with a serious expression on her face. I am going to leave the holy central continent with Su Yang." "Huh? Wait a second, I don't understand." Wu Jiang looked at them with a dumbfounded look on his face. "Even if you are going to follow him, why do you have to leave the continent?" "Because Su Yang is not from the holy central continent, father. He came from the eastern continent," she said to him. The eastern continent." Wu Jiang stood up from shock. "How the hell did you manage to cross the Jade Sea?" "I flew here on a flying boat," he casually said. "A flying boat?" Wu Jiang quickly frowned. He can only recall another person who has such a treasure. Su Yang smiled after seeing Wu Jiang's reaction, and he spoke. "Immortal fairy Su Yue, you asked me if I knew her, right? I kind of lied to you." "What? So you really are her husband?" Wu Jiang exclaimed. "Huh?" Wu Jingjing turned to look at Su Yang with wide eyes. You were immortal fairy Su Yue's." "Oh no, we're not married, that's just a story she made up. Though we do have a special relationship," he briefly explained. But you know immortal fairy Su Yue." Wu Jingjing stared at him with awe in her eyes as she had been dying to meet the renowned immortal fairy. "Where is she right now, immortal fairy Su Yue?" Wu Jiang suddenly asked him. "She's in the eastern continent," he said. "No wonder why nobody has seen her lately, because she's actually on another continent." Wu Jiang shook his head after realizing this. "Anyway, you want to follow Su Yang back to the eastern continent. How often will you visit me? You think I'm going to let you take my granddaughter away from me without a fight?" Wu Jiang looked at her with narrowed eyes. "Well, about that." Wu Jingjing turned to look at Su Yang with a hopeless gaze. Seeing this, Su Yang smiled and said, Even though I am from the eastern continent, I do not actually belong to this world. Eh, what the hell do you mean by that? Wu Jiang quickly asked. Chapter 670. Conquering Lion Li. Seeing Wu Jian's puzzled face, Su Yang spoke in a slow but clear voice. In this vast and seemingly endless universe, there exist multiple worlds, and the world we are currently in is only a tiny world compared to the other worlds that exist beyond the starry sky, and I am someone who came from those worlds. Su Yang did not even bother explaining to Wu Jiang about his reincarnation, and made it seem as though he'd come from the starry night. Another world from beyond the starry sky. Wu Jiang stared at him with a gawking expression, and his jaw dropped. That's right. I mentioned that I am referred to as Spirit Heaven Sword Emperor by some people, right? Well, Spirit Heaven is where I am from, and it exists somewhere in the starry night. After a long moment of silence, Wu Jiang silently stood up and walked to the window before staring at the darkened sky with an unfathomable expression on his face. Sometime later, he turned to look at Su Yang and spoke in a low voice. And you plan on taking Jingjing with you back to your own world? Yes, Su Yang nodded without hesitation. Ha ha. Wu Jiang released a long sigh before mumbling. It appears that I have suffered not one but two major losses today. Father, Wu Jingjing looked at him with a heartfelt gaze. You don't have to say anything to me, Jingjing. I knew that you wouldn't be at my side forever, but I didn't expect you to leave this quickly, Wu Jiang said to her. Wu Jiang then returned his focus to Su Yang. I will only allow Wu Jingjing to follow you if you can promise me one thing, that you will protect her, and Wu Min no matter what, even at the cost of your own life. If you cannot do that, then you will have to walk over my dead body before you can take her with you. Hearing his threatening voice that wasn't very threatening at all, Su Yang laughed. Are you looking down on me? I don't need anyone to tell me to protect my own women. Wu Jiang did not find any offense in his words and nodded with a resolute look on his face. Good. Then I shall entrust my daughter to you. Su Yang, let's go to my living quarter for now, Wu Jingjing said to him after their business with Wu Jiang was finished. Sometime later, Su Yang entered her room while Wu Jingjing went to put Wu Min to sleep, as it was getting late and she was nearly asleep by the time they returned home. Once Wu Min was sound asleep, Wu Jingjing returned to Su Yang's side. Are you really trying to court Her Highness Lion Li, even after you humiliated her in public? Do you think you still have a chance with her? Wu Jingjing asked him, not bothered by the fact that he was trying to court another woman in her presence, as she understood that was his nature. What do you think? Do you think I will be able to court her successfully after everything that has happened today? He asked her. Wu Jingjing immediately began pondering with a serious expression on her face. A moment later, she spoke in a low voice. Her Highness, she's a difficult person to understand and impossible to predict. I don't know what she's thinking most of the time. However, I do know that she's incredibly dedicated to swords and that she doesn't like being around men. Is that so? Su Yang nodded with a profound look on his face. But I think that's because she doesn't have much experience with men because of her status, as most men don't even dare to approach her, much less court her. In fact, you are the first person I have witnessed courting her. Though I have a feeling that you'll be able to woo her, she chuckled and continued. After all, you have this irresistible charm. You are making me blush, Su Yang said with a calm smile. Su Yang, why don't we have a bet? Wu Jingjing suddenly said. Oh, you want to gamble with me? Just so you know, I have never lost a bet in my life, he said with a prideful look on his face. You know the saying, there's always a first time to everything. Of course, but the word impossible also exists, he said with a smile. HMPH, we shall see about that. Anyway, what do you want to bet on? Su Yang asked her a moment later. Let's bet on how long it'll take you to conquer Her Highness's maiden heart, Wu Jingjing said with a grin on her face. How long will it take me to court her, huh? Wu Jingjing nodded and continued. I will consider it a successful conquest if you manage to have sex with her. So how long do you think it'll take you to conquer her? After a long moment of silence, he spoke with a confident look on his face. It will happen before I have to meet with Emperor Lion. That fast? Wu Jingjing looked at him with wide eyes. That's in 2 days counting today. You think you'll be able to conquer both her heart and body before tomorrow ends? You think I can't? Nobody would, she quickly said. Not only did you spit on the Lion family and beat her younger brother today, but you also humiliated her in such a fashion before thousands of people. I bet she's still angry at you right now. If you think you can court her in such a short time despite your disadvantages, I would like to see it with my very eyes. Disadvantage? A mysterious smile appeared on Su Yang's face, and he said, "Very well, I shall do my best to not disappoint you." Meanwhile, inside Lion Li's living quarters, she stared at the red-colored medicine in her hands with a malicious smile on her face. "Just you wait, you damn pervert. I'll have my revenge on you soon." Chapter 671, Dinner at 9 Spring Hall. Once the sky has darkened enough, Su Yang prepared to head to Lion Li's living quarters for dinner. Her Highness lives 3 blocks down, and her house number should be house number 99, Wu Jingjing said to him. I understand. Su Yang nodded as he stepped outside. Good luck, Su Yang, Wu Jingjing said to him before he left. A few minutes later, Su Yang found the building with the number 99 on the front door. He approached the entrance and knocked on it. Lion Li opened the door a moment while wearing beautiful and luxurious clothes that enhanced her beauty significantly and said to him with a calm expression on her face, "So you're finally here, huh? I'm sorry if I made you wait too long," he said. "I don't mind. Where should we go for dinner? I have already made reservations for us at the 9 Spring Hall. We can leave at any time," Lion Li said. 9 Spring Halls, huh? Okay. Lion Li then stepped outside of her house and began flying away shortly later. Seeing this, Su Yang silently followed her with a smile on his face. A few minutes later, Su Yang said to her while they were in the air, "I didn't get the chance to say this back there, but you look very stunning in that outfit. Save your compliments for your wife. I am not going to be swayed by your honeyed words, and we are only going to eat dinner. If you were expecting something else, then I am sorry not." "Whatever you say, Your Highness," Su Yang responded with a calm voice. "It's too late to start respecting me now, as you have already trampled my face to an unrecoverable state in front of thousands of people." Lion Li spoke in a cold voice. Because of what happened during the sword battle, people are already giving her disrespectful nicknames such as Princess Piss herself and Silver River Princess behind her back. Su Yang decided not to say anything else and silently followed her to the 9 Spring Halls. Once they reached the 9 Spring Halls, there were already many servants waiting outside the restaurant. "Welcome to the 9 Spring Hall, Your Highness." The servants immediately lowered their heads to greet her. "Your Highness, the 9 Spring Hall, and everyone here is greatly honored by your presence." Ju Chun, the owner of the restaurant, appeared a moment later and said to her, "Take us to our room," Lion Li said to him. "Right away." Ju Chun glanced at Su Yang with a mysterious light in his eyes before turning around and leading them to the highest floor in the restaurant. Su Yang did not miss Ju Chun's odd gaze, and he silently pondered why Ju Chun would look at him in such a manner. A few minutes later, they reached the 9th and highest floor of the restaurant and took a seat in the only room on that floor. Once they were seated and served tea, Ju Chun asked them, "What would you like to eat tonight, esteemed guest?" To Su Yang's surprise, Ju Chun decided to ask him what he wanted to eat before asking Lion Li, which is a clear sign of disrespect to her status. However, Lion Li did not react to this and merely sipped her tea in silence. "Give me the most popular dish," Su Yang casually said. "I understand. We'll be right back with your food," Ju Chun said before walking out the room, completely ignoring Lion Li. "Are you not going to eat?" he asked her with raised eyebrows. I cannot consider this as having dinner with you if I am the only one eating. Don't worry, I have already told them what I wanted to eat when I made the reservation, she said to him in a calm voice. Su Yang nodded his head at her words, but he couldn't stop getting this awkward and suspicious vibe in the atmosphere. What are you planning? Su Yang calmly stared at Lion Li's beautiful face while he pondered in silence. What are you looking at? Stop staring at me with that vulgar gaze, Lion Li finally spoke a few minutes later. I cannot help it. Anyone would be staring if there's such a beautiful woman sitting in front of them, Su Yang chuckled. HMPH. Like I'd said before, you can keep your flattery to yourself, as it won't have any effect on me, Lion Li coldly snorted. Well, if you do not want to hear praises, would you like to hear about swords? I might teach you a thing or two about sword will, you know. Su Yang asked her with a mysterious grin on his face. Really? You'll teach me about sword will? Even though she knew he was trying to bait her into a conversation, Lion Li couldn't help but immediately bite into his bait, as her sword-loving character longed to know more about sword will. Yes, he nodded before continuing. It's not like sword will is a secret or anything like that. As long as you practice enough, I'm sure someone with your talent will be able to learn it in the near future. Su Yang then proceeded to talk briefly about sword will and its foundations, which Lion Li listened to with perked ears and a serious expression, almost like a cat. Time passed extremely quickly once Lion Li was engrossed in Su Yang's sword talks, and before they were aware, Jiu Chun had returned to the room with over a dozen dishes, each emitting strong spiritual energy. Thank you for your patience. Here is what we have prepared for you. Jiu Chun proceeded to explain every dish on the table to them. A few minutes later, Jiu Chun bowed to them before leaving the room. I hope you'll enjoy your meal, esteemed guest. A subtle but sinister light flickered in Jiu Chun's eyes as he left the room. These people are definitely planning something. But what? Su Yang acted as though he didn't notice and pondered silently. Chapter 672, Heavenly Gratification. What are you waiting for? Let's hurry up and eat so we can end this farce. Lion Li said to Su Yang after seeing that he hasn't moved after many moments, seemingly a little nervous and impatient. What's the rush? The food won't go anywhere, and I'd like to have your company for as long as possible. After all, you don't get to have dinner with someone of your stature often, Su Yang said with a calm expression on his face. The nervousness in Lion Li's eyes became more apparent after she heard Su Yang's words. Did he notice our plan? No, that's not possible. Lion Li cried inwardly. HMPH, if you won't eat, then I'll eat and immediately leave afterward, Lion Li said in an irritated voice before she began eating the food. Su Yang shook his head and decided to eat a moment later. However, the second his tongue touched the food, his eyebrows slightly trembled and he immediately realized what was going on. This little girl really thinks she can poison me. Very well, I shall teach you a valuable lesson. Su Yang sneered inwardly before chewing and swallowing the food without hesitation. He ate it. He really ate the food. Ha 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 ha. I have one, you damn pervert. I cannot wait to see you humiliate yourself. Lion Li laughed inwardly after seeing his actions, barely able to resist laughing out loud for real. This subtle but bitter taste, I see what's going on. So that's what you were planning, huh? Unfortunately for you, you have picked the wrong person to poison. Su Yang shook his head inwardly after swallowing the food. After a few minutes of pure silence, when Lion Li could no longer hold her laughter, she burst out laughing, ha 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 ha. Seeing you eating so peacefully and ignorantly, I cannot help but laugh. Huh, what's so funny about that? Su Yang acted ignorantly and asked her with a puzzled expression on his handsome face. However, Lion Li merely laughed even louder in response to his question. A few seconds later, Su Yang pretended as though he'd finally come to a realization and exclaimed in a shocked voice, Don't tell me you did something to the food. Did you poison me? Ha ha ha, that's right, I did put something in your food, Lion Li instantly admitted to her crimes. What did you put in my food? Su Yang stood up angrily. Have you ever heard of a flower called heavenly gratification? Heavenly gratification. What is that? Su Yang frowned. It's a rare flower that produces these odorless powders that when consumed, it will make that person feel extreme pleasure, and they will be forced to ejaculate non-stop for many hours. It's the perfect medicine for a pervert like you. What? How dare you poison me with such a heinous poison? Don't worry, the poison won't kill you. In fact, you'll probably even thank me in the end. Ha ha ha. Lion Li laughed merrily. After a moment of silence from Su Yang, to Lion Li's surprise, he suddenly sat down and continued eating the food as though nothing had happened. Eh? Lion Li stared at him with wide eyes. Why are you still eating the food? Didn't you hear me? I said it's poisoned, she asked him. Su Yang then plucked a small piece from the food and rolled it until it resembled a pill, and he showed it to her while speaking in a calm voice. Did you really think I didn't know about the poison? Although it has no odor, it has a distinct taste that I immediately recognized the second it touched my tongue. Lion Li's eyes widened with shock upon hearing his words. Then why did you continue to eat it? And why are you still eating it now? She asked him in a baffled voice. Why? Because the poison won't affect me, Su Yang casually replied. It won't affect you. How is that possible? Because the poison will only work on those who are inexperienced with controlling their own body when it comes to their bodily fluids and whatnot. What does that even mean? You're not making any sense, Lion Li said with a frown. In other words, I am a dual cultivator and I have perfect control over my own body, so the poison won't affect me. Though that is not to say the poison has no effect at all. I am simply controlling it. Lion Li stared at him with wide eyes, seemingly in disbelief. Dual cultivator. He was a dual cultivator all along. How is that possible when he is clearly a swordmaster? I know what you're thinking, but I gave up the path of swords long ago to pursue my path of dual cultivation, he said to her in a calm voice. Impossible. How old are you even? How can you reach such a level with the sword and then have the time to become a dual cultivator? Lion Li asked him. This body is only 18 years old, but I have lived far longer than 18 years, Su Yang responded. Huh, you are only 18 years old. Lion Li was already shocked by the first part, much less the latter part. But what do you mean by living longer than 18 years when you are only 18 years old? That doesn't make any sense, Lion Li said after a moment of silence. I won't spoil the fun, so I'll let you try to figure it out yourself. Su Yang shook his head. By the way, don't expect me to not punish you for trying to poison me even though it doesn't have any effect on me. Su Yang suddenly said. What are you going to do to me? In case you forgot, my father is, I am going to do this. In the midst of her sentence, Su Yang flicked his fingers, shooting the food that he'd shaped into a pill a minute ago directly into Lion Li's mouth. But it happened so suddenly that Lion Li accidentally swallowed the food, and she silently stared at him with wide eyes filled with disbelief. Chapter 673. A taste of her own medicine. Why you? Did you just? Lion Li immediately stood up and staggered backward while pointing at Su Yang with her entire body trembling in fear. You should have a taste of your medicine before giving it to someone else just to make sure it works properly, Su Yang said to her with a smile on his face. Why, you bastard? How dare you? Lion Li instinctively pulled out her sword and pointed it at him. But after recalling how he defeated her and Wu Jiang the Sword Saint, she did not dare to actually attack him. Why are you angry? If you intend on poisoning somebody, you should also bring the antidote just in case something goes wrong, right? Su Yang asked her with a nonchalant expression on his face. I don't have anything like that. There's no antidote for this kind of poison, and it's not even lethal, Lion Li shouted at him. Oh, so you planned on poisoning me without sparing me with an antidote, then you deserve it even more. Su Yang merely shook his head. Well, look on the bright side, as you'd mentioned, this poison is not lethal, so there's no need to worry. Screw you. While you may be fine, I am not a dual cultivator. Lion Li cried. You will start feeling the effects of the poison in a few minutes. What are you going to do? Su Yang asked her. I am not going to be humiliated by you again. I'm leaving. Lion Li prepared to fly out of the window, but Su Yang snapped his fingers, creating a formation around the room, preventing her from leaving. What are you doing? Are you trying to keep me imprisoned here? I swear I'll have your head for this. Lion Li banged on the formation with a desperate look on her face. How can you leave before our dinner is finished? There is still so much food on the table. You promised me to have dinner tonight and you're going to keep your words. Su Yang said with a calm expression on his face. Let me leave, please. I promise you that we'll have dinner on another date, Lion Li said to him, feeling the urge to cry. How can I trust you now after knowing that you'd poisoned me? I was wrong. I was wrong for poisoning you, okay? I promise I won't bother you again, so let me leave before my body starts Lion Li suddenly felt a weird sensation between her legs, causing her body to tremble and fall on her knees. The poison is affecting you already. I guess it has a stronger effect on inexperienced maidens like you. Su Yang looked at her with an amused expression on his face. This is not funny, Su Yang. I am really going to leak myself. Let me leave already. Lion Li said to him with teary eyes while trying her hardest to resist the urge to piss herself. If you leave now, you'll only piss yourself in public. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it now when we are alone. I won't tell anyone, I promise. Su Yang said to her. Fucku. Lion Li suddenly collapsed on the floor, feeling a burning sensation spreading throughout her body, and it was especially hot in the area between her legs. However, Su Yang remained calm even after seeing this, and he continued to eat his food with a nonchalant expression on his face. It's coming. Lion Li could no longer control her body after another minute of struggle and allowed the dam to flow. A silver pond appeared under Lion Li a moment later. I swear to the heavens I am going to kill you. Lion Li grabbed her sword once again and prepared to attack Su Yang. However, before she could even take 2 steps, her body flared up once again, causing her body to feel extremely sensitive to the point where even the slightest movement would cause her body to tingle with delight. Lion Li uncontrollably Ned and collapsed on the floor once again. A few seconds later, her body spasmed, experiencing an orgasm for the first time in her life. Good luck trying to kill me while you are in that state, Su Yang said to her as he casually sipped on his teacup. After swallowing the tea, he continued, By the way, I have sealed off the sound coming from this room so you don't have to worry about others hearing your voice. You don't have to thank me. Lion Li inwardly sighed in relief after hearing his words, feeling a lot less stressed. Tilde. Lion Li continuously Ned on the floor as her body was burning with desire, and the feeling only became stronger as time went on. After many minutes of feeling like an animal in heat, Lion Li finally gave in to her full desires and began playing with herself by rubbing her little sister with her own hands. Tilde. Lion Li was so indulged in pleasuring herself that she forgot about Su Yang's presence and felt as though she was alone in this world at this moment. Meanwhile, Su Yang continued to eat his dinner. Half an hour later, once Su Yang cleaned every plate on the table, he stood up and walked to Lion Li, who was still pleasuring herself and nearly submerged in a pond of her own yin qi. It's hot. It's so hot. When Lion Li saw Su Yang's handsome face, she momentarily stopped pleasuring herself and grabbed his robes and spoke in a pleading voice. Please, do something to stop this. I am scared. If this continues, I will really go crazy. I can't deal with this for a few more hours. Seeing her pitiful expression and the tears in her eyes, Su Yang sighed. I hope you've learned your lesson today, but alas, There is no antidote for this, but there is a method to make it go by faster. What is it? I will do anything. Please just help me, she said. Chapter 674. Why are you stopping? Since you are poisoned and technically not in the right state of mind, I don't want to make it seem like I am trying to take advantage of you, but there is only one way to make the poison leave your body faster, and that is to discharge it out of your body through pleasure, Su Yang said to her. How is that any different from what I am doing now? Are you making fun of me? Lion Li shouted at him. Of course not. The powders from heavenly gratification is a unique poison that affects one's yin or yang qi, and the only method to get rid of it is by discharging it through your yin qi, Su Yang said. Then how come it's not affecting you? Why can't you just teach me whatever method you're using to control the poison? She cried as her hands continued to pleasure herself without even thinking, almost like an irresistible itch. What I am doing requires years of effort and natural experience, and is not something you can learn in a day or two, much less a few minutes. If you don't want to listen to me, then I'll just leave you alone and let you squirm around for the next few hours. However, if someone enters this room before you're done, Lion Li's face immediately paled after hearing his words. She would rather die than to let someone else see her in such a humiliating manner. Okay, you win. I will listen to you. But how do I discharge my yin qi faster? She said to him a moment later. Although you might not be able to do it because you are inexperienced, I am a different story, as I am a dual cultivator. If you let me touch you, I can help you discharge your yin qi much faster than you can ever achieve by yourself. You want me to touch me? I knew you had ulterior intentions, you damn pervert, Lion Li exclaimed with a terrified look on her face. If Su Yang were to force himself on her right now, she doubts that she would be able to refuse his advances, much less resist him. Relax, I won't touch you without your permission, and I definitely won't do anything more than helping you release your yin qi. I didn't mention this since there wasn't a need to, but I am also a doctor and an alchemist, so I know what I'm doing. And if you let me treat you, the poison will fully disappear within 10 minutes. Tilde. Lion Li suddenly Ned loudly as the burning sensation in her body suddenly flared up again. I don't care anymore. Do whatever you want with my body, but if you go too far, I swear upon my family name that I will not forgive you. Lion Li shouted at him before collapsing on the floor. Su Yang nodded and said, Then excuse me. Su Yang waved his sleeves, sending the empty plates on the table to a corner and cleaning the table while he was at it, before picking up Lion Li and placing her on the table. Tilde. Lion Li's little sister gushed with yin qi just from being picked up by Su Yang. Once she was on the table, Su Yang began roaming through her clothes with his hands without removing her clothes. Lion Li Ned loudly, feeling a heavenly sensation wherever Su Yang's hands touched. Even though it's already soaking wet, I'm going to take off your undergarment, Su Yang said to her as he removed the soaking wet underwear from her body, sliding it off her slim and long legs. Once the stained cloth was removed, Su Yang was able to see the beautiful pink flower that was trembling between her legs. Su Yang reached for the untainted flower, but he didn't immediately touch it and caress the area around her slit. Tilde. Lion Li's body shook violently from the teasing, and her flower gushed with yin qi before squirting it everywhere. Once her climax has passed, Su Yang slowly slipped 2 of his fingers into the entrance of her cave with ease and began massaging her insides. Tilde. Lion Li tightly held onto the table by its side and climaxed again shortly later, and the table began dripping with her yin qi. More tilde. Lion Li was so indulged in the pleasure that she'd forgotten about the poison, and 10 minutes passed by in a flash without her realizing it. Why are you stopping? Lion Li looked at him with a dazed expression on her face when he suddenly stopped touching her, not realizing that her body had healed. Because the poison is already out of your body, Or do you want me to keep going despite that? Su Yang asked her. Why, yes. A smile then appeared on his face, and he said in a calm voice, then you should go home to recover your state of mind first. I won't take advantage of someone in your condition. If you want me to continue, find me at Wu Jingjing's living quarters. I can promise you that it'll feel much better than what you'd experienced here 100 times more enjoyable. 100 times. Lion Li stared at him with a dazed face and swallowed nervously, but she cannot imagine what that kind of pleasure might feel like. After staring at him in silence for a few moments, Lion Li stood up and spoke with a cold expression on her face. Remove the formation. I'm leaving. Su Yang nodded and removed the formation. What about this piece of cloth? Su Yang asked her while pointing at the black triangular cloth sitting on the table. Lion Li immediately ran to pick up her soaking wet underwear before flying out of the window, not daring to look at Su Yang's face, fearing that she might not want to leave afterward. Once Lion Li disappeared from his sight, Su Yang's calm expression turned cold, and he mumbled in a low voice, Now, how should I deal with this place? Chapter 675, You Can't Do That to Me. It's been 2 hours since we served that young man the poisoned food. It's about time I check up on them as instructed by Her Highness. Jiu Chun mumbled to himself as he made his way towards the 9th floor. It's awfully silent up here. Jiu Chun raised his eyebrows in a puzzled manner, as he'd expected some sort of commotion. Furthermore, the closer he got to their room, the more anxious he felt for some reason, almost as though his instincts were telling him to stay away from that room. Your Highness, may I come inside? Jiu Chun asked her from the outside. However, there was no response even after waiting for many moments. Your Highness, it's Jiu Chun and I have come here as instructed, he repeated. After another moment of silence, a voice from inside the room resounded, yet it was clearly not Lion Li's voice, as it sounded like a young man's voice. You may come inside, Su Yang said to him from the inside. Jiu Chun immediately frowned after hearing Su Yang's calm and nonchalant voice. Did something happen? Why does he sound so normal and tranquil despite consuming the poison? Jiu Chun pondered to himself in silence, not daring to open the door and feeling an ominous feeling in his stomach. Did you not hear me? I said you can come inside. Su Yang's voice resounded again, this time sounding a little bit more annoyed. What happened to Her Highness? Jiu Chun still didn't dare to enter without her permission and asked Su Yang. Don't worry about her, she's safe. Su Yang responded, making it sound as though he did something terrible to her. What? Do you have any idea what you've done? That was Emperor Lion's beloved daughter, Jiu Chun exclaimed in a shocked voice. However, Su Yang did not respond until a good moment later. Why don't you come inside first? We'll talk as much as you want afterward. Jiu Chun was speechless. As much as he wanted to turn around and run away, he didn't dare to abandon Lion Li, who could be in imminent danger right now, as that in itself would be a death sentence. After swallowing nervously and taking a deep breath, Jiu Chun finally decided to open the door. However, once he'd opened the door and saw the situation inside, he was greatly dumbfounded. Where's Her Highness? Jiu Chun immediately asked him about Lion Li, ignoring the large puddle of liquid below the desk and the wet walls. She went home after a satisfying dinner, Su Yang responded with a calm smile on his face. A satisfying dinner? Cut the bullshit, she wouldn't leave just like this, Jiu Chun quickly exclaimed. Why not? Because you tried to poison me. Su Yang suddenly narrowed his eyes at Jiu Chun, sending chills down his spine. So what if I poisoned you? It was Her Highness' command, and I was simply following her orders. Jiu Chun coldly sneered at him, not even bothering to hide his criminal act. So if she told you to kill yourself, would you do it? Jiu Chun opened his mouth only to close it without saying anything. So you are willing to take another's life but not your own. What a hypocrite you are. Su Yang shook his head in a disapproving manner. Shut up. You won't die from consuming that kind of poison anyway. And how the hell are you perfectly fine? Did you not eat the food? Oh, I ate the food all right, and it was quite amazing besides the fact that it was laced with poison. Then why are you not ejaculating everywhere like you are supposed to? Jiu Chun pointed at him and said, I don't know, maybe there was something wrong with the poison. Why don't you try it for yourself? Wah! Su Yang suddenly appeared in front of Jiu Chun and grabbed him by the neck before showing him a round-shaped ball that resembled a pill. However, if one could smell the rich aroma from the pill, they would immediately think it's actually food. That can't be. Jiu Chun looked at the food that was pinched into a pill with a terrified expression. Don't you dare, who do you think I am? Jiu Chun immediately released his sovereign spirit realm cultivation base, but alas, Su Yang used his fingers to poke into his meridians, instantly sealing his cultivation. What did you just do to me? Jiu Chun cried out in horror after realizing that he could no longer muster his strength, feeling completely powerless in Su Yang's grasp. If I were you, I would be worrying about what I am about to do to you. Stop it. I am the owner of the 9 spring halls. I have connections to nearly every major power in this world. If you touch me, you can forget about living in peace for the rest of your life. Knowing that he cannot physically stop Su Yang, Jiu Chun began threatening him with his own status instead. However, Su Yang acted as though he was deaf and flicked the food pill into Jiu Chun's mouth before using spiritual energy to force it down his throat. No, no, no. Jiu Chun began panicking after feeling the pill enter his stomach. In a few minutes, you will start ejaculating uncontrollably, and I am going to drag you through every floor and every room in this building so your customers can watch. Even if you were following Lion Li's orders, since you dared to poison someone, you can't complain about being poisoned yourself. What? You can't do that to me. Jiu Chun looked at Su Yang as though he was looking at the devil, but alas, as much as he wanted to run away, his entire cultivation base was sealed. I can't. Watch me, Su Yang said, and he began dragging Jiu Chun downstairs by his neck, treating him as though he was a chicken prepared to be slaughtered.